Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 484. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Johnny V.
How are you doing tonight, Terry Miller?
Not too shabby. I suffered through another weekend in Arizona.
Rough, I know. Very difficult.
Here during our winter season, so I managed to fight through it.
You missed decent weather here. I will be honest. It was, it's not Arizona weather, and some people, depending on where you're coming from, are going to be like, decent. It was nice this weekend. It was,
Was it 40?
It was 40 to 50 degrees on up to like Sunday. It started to drop a little bit, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I would say it was nice out. And yeah,
you're exactly right. It's very relative because when I suggest that it's not too bad back home, and Tommy Guns, the TD this weekend, all but scoffed at me when I was telling him about the temperatures. So
I spoke with some vendors in Florida today, and the guy literally said, when we jumped on the call, he's like, yeah, it was a little chilly this morning. It was like the mid to low 60s. And I was like, really? Oh, yeah. That's rough. I scraped off my car window this morning.
Again, always relative, but I was thinking about the fact that this may have been the most trips ever to Arizona in a year for me, and I did miss going to Maricopa because I was already into my Southeast Asia trip, but I did add both the Pro Masters Worlds this year along with this Big Arm Challenge, which we're going to talk about in a little bit here in just a few minutes. So spoiler, you may or may not want to find out who won. Yeah, you do. You want to know. We're going to have our champion on in actually just a few minutes. He's going to be joining us. So, yes, lots of good times in Arizona. I'll dive into it a little bit more later, but big thanks to the Big Arm Challenge and then my gracious host, not only Ricky Wysocki, but then also the crew over at First Light. I say it all the time. Part of the reason I can even practically go to Arizona is because of some of the hospitality and the kindness in which people treat me when I head over there. So thank you to all of you guys. So while we're at it, let's just quickly, we can jump over into PDGA news. There's really one A tier. We're going to talk about a B tier that had some superstars at it, but there was one A tier that was going on in Florida this weekend. And Johnny, it looks like you got the results. Read them off for us.
I do. This is the 11th annual South Florida Open hosted by Tri-Fly Disc Golf, sponsored by Dynamic Discs. What we saw down in Delray Beach, Florida. Almost want to say Daytona Beach, but it was not. It was Delray Beach, Florida. Winning in MPO was none other than the MP50, Johnny McRae. He takes us, he's a 1,013 rated player, so he was like the third or fourth highest rated player at the event. He shoots a 32 under par, besting Nathan Queen by 3 strokes for $1,343. Johnny shot a 1025, a 1061, and a 1054. So 3 rounds, all above his rating, and I would argue to say 2 really great rounds.
And if I understood the context of a post from Double G, if I understood it correctly, I was under the impression, and this would require a little bit of math, I was under the impression he won it off the chase card. If all the math, I don't know how that math all checks out, but that was my understanding. I'm pretty sure that Double G was either the outright leader or near the lead certainly after the first round. I know that much. And then after the second round, what did he have? A total score of 100. So no, McRae. Okay, maybe not. Then I don't know what I'm talking about because Johnny McRae would have been at 97. I don't know where I'm getting my math from. No, yeah, 90 versus 97, right?
Sure.
Oh. That's 100. I can't add. Double G was had a total of 100, and okay, so Johnny did not win off the chase card. I'm an idiot.
I would say it's not that it's impossible, but shooting a 1061 on your second round, when I'm looking at the other ones, the next highest rated was 1025. Maybe he was tied for someone on the chase card. I don't know. But either way, Johnny McRae wins the South Florida Open. Again, in MPO, not the MP50 that we're normally talking about him lately. It just goes to show you, no offense to him, but the old man still got it. He truly does. And then some. That's right. I wouldn't be shocked to see Johnny on maybe not all of them, but hit a few of the Disc Golf Pro Tour events next year if that's in his wants and needs. But like I said, second place, Nathan Queen at 29 under par. Third place, Micah Groth, the young gun. Tied for fourth place, Nick Hansen and Double G, as we spoke about. Moving down over to the FPO field, Double G didn't get it done back to back, but Jessica Weiss did, winning $739. Jessica shot 957, 948, 957. So 2 out of the 3 rounds above her rating. She's bested Morgan Linz by 5 strokes. Third place was Sarah Hokum. Fourth place, Arina Shakova. And a tie for fifth place between Jennifer Smiley, the happiest name on our list, and Stacy Kiefer. So congratulations to all of our competitors. I'll just say MP40, Dutch Napier, just happy Johnny McRae played open. MP50, Baxter Frost, really happy Johnny McRae played open.
Yeah, Johnny McRae got past Dutch the weekend before in Gainesville.
He's like, I'll let you have this one, Dutch. I'm going up to the MPO.
I'm going up with the rest of the big boys. So
I want to whip up on my little boy, Double G.
Yeah, so congrats, Johnny McRae. Congrats on the crew. Remind me later, we're going to have a conversation. A healthy discussion took place last week with regards to refund policies and some other conversations.
That sounds like an after-show discussion.
It came from this event, so that's why I think we're talking about that kind of policy and some of those procedures a little bit later. But one guy that knows a little bit about the winner's circle.
And I don't think he wants a refund.
No, he doesn't. Cash and checks all over the place. None other than our champion from this weekend's Big Arm Challenge, Parker Welck. What up?
Yo, what up, boys?
Look at those big arms.
Wow, yeah. He's got some... Jeez.
I mean, to be fair, Parker, you are of...
oh, there's the ring.
Yes, beautiful. You're of smaller... You're smaller statured. Like, you have a smaller
what are you saying,
frame.
Chad? Coming from you.
Yeah, coming from me, the big boy. But you got a smaller frame, and you were out there smashing... left and right this weekend, just like we've seen at DDO or the Dynamic Disc Open, just like we saw in other events. But let's start there. Where are you generating the power from? How do you throw such big shots?
Honestly, it comes from just like having the same form since I was like 7 years old or something like that, I'm sure. I haven't done a whole lot to like kind of change my form. I haven't really watched like YouTube videos on like, oh, I'm doing this incorrectly or I need to do this. It's always just kind of been like what my body just does what it does. And I think it works best for me that way.
All right, well, let's get into a few of the details. This weekend, again, called the Big Arm Challenge. Everybody has seen Vista in a couple different formats, either relatively short and relatively easy, or we see it in the XL layout, which is what the Memorial, the Shelly Sharp have been using now for a number of years. This was even different from those. So how would you explain the layout and some of the considerations for this weekend's event?
Yeah, I mean, well, the name of it just tells it. You gotta throw pretty far if you want to have like a pretty solid chance at winning this event, because there are a few of those holes where like a guy like Anthony Brella can take a 2 when I'm taking like a 3 or a 4. Or for example, on we have a par 5 there. It's you can get there in 2 shots, no problem. I think Anthony threw like a 650-foot sky shot, and then he had like a little zone chip in for eagle, and I'm like trying to smash 2 drivers as hard as I can to even get over there. But it was fun. I mean, that front 9, they lengthened it out a little bit. It was pretty easy on the front 9, and then the back 9, man, that was tough. They combined a few of those holes. They switched them up. But it was overall just very, very hard on that back 9.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and maybe add to that the back 9, of course, was long and challenging, but even more so a few of those basket placements. And so some people have already watched, hopefully at least round 1, but talk about some of those basket placements relative to the OB or the water or whatever else. How much more did that have to come into mind for your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't feeling your putt that week, or your up shots, you weren't having a good time. That's basically how it was. There's, what was it, like 4 baskets like within 10 feet of the out of bounds, not just water, but like cart paths. So it was definitely tough. It it was tough on your head. You know, you had to make a decision whether or not you want to run like even 30-foot putts and or even 25-foot putts. You know, it's usually like automatic you're going to run these, but in that situation, you really gotta think twice or be extremely confident about it.
And knowing that this is in its 4th year, and you know the two guys that have won it before, we're talking about Aaron Gossage and then Anthony Brella. Anthony's won it twice.
Those guys throw pretty far.
Yeah,
both of them.
Aaron won it the other time. What were some of the conversations like leading into the event in terms of did you guys have any input or feedback maybe as to where baskets or any of that gets placed? Because I know our TD is really excited to you know, showcase and feature and highlight our best players. Was there any input from you guys with regard to the layout?
Not from me, but I'm sure Anthony had something to do with it. I know Jordan Castro might have had something to do with it. But you know, me being newer to Arizona, I didn't exactly know the TD before it started. I actually met him during it. So although I was considered a bigger name at the event, I didn't have any like input into, you know, OB lines or basket placement or anything like that. I honestly thought they did a pretty good job. You know, some holes felt a little arcadey, but it was a lot better than last year.
Ah, okay. And then I guess to follow that up, do you have a strong preference? You know, you played in the Shelley Sharp or the Memorial or both this year?
Both, yeah.
Yeah, both, yeah. You played in those. Do you feel like, is this weekend's layout, the XXL layout as it's called, do you feel like that's applicable or could be to those other two events, or do you like that there's going to be kind of a difference when playing some of these events?
I honestly like that there's a difference. With the Shelley Sharp and Memorial, they're the same layout for the most part, and they have, you know, like not super tough par threes, but par threes you got to like execute and, you know, get it inside circle and make your putt. This tournament, especially on a few holes on the front nine, where it felt like I could literally just throw it wherever I want off the tee, and then I'll have like a 200-foot up shot, so I'm essentially playing a 200-foot hole rather than, you know, a 600-foot par four.
Okay. We were fortunate, and I think this kind of goes to the overall bigger picture. We were fortunate that we went off, you know, near the noon hour, and I think they were pushing daylight for some of the MP40s that went off after the MPO. So whether that's the course layout or people have to shoot better, or we have to maybe have a few less people in the event, would you recommend this layout to any given player to challenge themselves, or would you say, hey, maybe this event you need to sit out? Would you have any recommendation to anyone that's thinking about something like this next year?
It was fun. I mean, it's new disc golf. It's especially if you live in Arizona, you're looking for something new, a different layout. So I mean, I would say, you know, the more the merrier. But it definitely is a challenge. If you don't want to lose any discs, don't play it. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's
how many did you lose?
Well, I have something weird with me. During tournaments, I like never lose any discs for some reason. I don't think I lost any discs this event, but since moving to Arizona in the 3 weeks, I think I've probably lost 10 to 12 discs, and a mix between playing Fountain Hills and Vista. So yeah. It's kind of taken my discs.
Fountain Hills will do that to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that seems like the prime place to do it out there. Well, let's get into, before we get into some of the stuff more related to the event, you just kind of touched on Arizona. Somewhat of big news, in case people didn't know. Tell us about what you're doing in Arizona and how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, so I know everyone, I mean, not everyone, but if you knew me, you knew I live in Huntington Beach, California before, and we've kind of just been, it was always just in my head to move to Arizona because I always come out for the Memorial, I always come out for Shelley Sharp, and I have some of the best memories that I have all year. So I wanted to combine that with, you know, being away from like the 405 traffic where, you know, you can't even, takes an hour to drive what should take 10 minutes in California, and, you know, prices were going up in California. And my wife and I actually stumbled upon this one place, and we were just like, this is perfect. We didn't even go tour it or anything. We kind of just took a chance on it, but I mean, it seemed perfect. And we kind of just picked up everything, moved in here, and it's perfect. We have a huge like soccer area right next to my house, so I'm able to go out there and throw a disc whenever I want for field work. And there's a ton of courses in the area, so, you know, I'm like 20 minutes away from probably 4 courses, and that's ideal because in Huntington Beach I only had that one course. The next closest one was probably like 35 minutes away.
Okay, so you're officially in Arizona, which it seems like it's, Wysocki kind of talked about it at one point, but it kind of feels like it just continues to draw people in. And when I think about someone coming from from California, like, oh, how different is the weather? Really? Like, it's nothing like Wisconsin, for instance, or being out in the Midwest.
Or even the East Coast where it's a lot more humid.
Exactly, and all of that. But you still feel like I don't know, all the advantages outweigh getting out of California and coming over to Arizona. Is that, did it factor in at all that you also had some friends and other relationships with people you know and like in terms of the golf community out here in Arizona?
Yeah, absolutely. I spent so much time with a few of the guys here, Ezra and AB and Tristan Tanner. And they became some of like a few of like my really close friends, and just being close to them it's another cool opportunity because I can learn from them and kind of improve my game even further. So I'm liking that they're all here.
Yeah, and just to put it out there again, we're not doxing anybody, but Ezra and Tristan, I believe, have an Airbnb pretty much, or some kind of short-term rental of sorts for the entire off season, right? Is that what their plan is?
Yeah, they're doing that now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Which is pretty cool. And then we've seen, obviously, Ricky has gone there. We saw Devin Owens there a few years ago. Obviously, Dave Felberg many years ago. Like, these people gravitating toward, some of our nicer weather, which makes perfect sense in the off-season.
Well, not just nicer weather, but course as well. Having a solid number of courses. Because there's a lot of places that have nice weather down south. You could go New Mexico. You can go wherever. But you want to go to a place where you have a good variety and of courses, like Parker said.
A little bit of the disc golf scene. What ultimately is your favorite course? Like, barring any kind of traffic concern, or even maybe traffic on the course in terms of people. Like, if you could just wake up tomorrow and be like, "Hey, at this time, I want to go play a course." Where would you like to head to if you had no other concerns?
Are you talking about me living here, or if I lived anywhere in the world?
No. If you living in Arizona, and then tomorrow you're like, hey, I just want to go out for one of my favorite rounds, or a fun round, and here's where I want to go play. Which course would you likely head to?
Probably Fountain Hills. I mean, it is so beautiful up there. I went there a week ago or so, and it's just beautiful green grass. The fountain's going off, a little bit of a rainbow in the fountain happening. It's really nice up there.
So I was gonna say Fountain Hills. It's notoriously known as Heiserfest. It the Heiser Olympics, we've heard it called. All these other things, but that's also what we've seen for the. Usually the memorial layout. Do you feel that is an accurate description of it, or do you just go out there and try different shots, play different angles? Because some of those baskets are notoriously close to the water.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see how people call it just a Heiserfest out there. You are able to throw a Heiser on every hole. Or you can challenge yourself and do a little bit different of a shot, especially because there's water involved over there. So it kind of helps with the confidence a little bit. If if it's a Heiser shot, you can maybe throw like a turnover or something, potentially lose a disc. But ultimately, you're strengthening your mind, knowing you can pull off that sort of shot.
Okay. Well, I totally agree. I mean, it's so iconic in terms of that property and going out there and then seeing it. How different for you is that course versus like the Memorial layout? Knowing we just usually have a few holes that play different when we're playing the Memorial, is it vastly different? If average Joe went out there tomorrow, would they be lost or confused per se in terms of trying to play the course from what they've seen online?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've played the regular course. I actually played. Speaking of that, at Vista, when I shot that video with Anthony Barella, that was the first time I've ever played the actual layout at Vista. I've never played that before. I've only played the XL layout.
Yeah. Okay. And that's kind of what I keep talking about in the coverage is like, I've been helping or part of some kind of media with Vista for almost 20 years now, and we've largely seen pretty much a similar course. And this XXL layout really, puts quite a twist on most of those holes. So that was kind of cool to see even for me. One of the things that you talked about, and this all ties together with being in Arizona and obviously being a solid player. One of the first things that you had offered or mentioned after hoisting your ring and your trophy was that you're interested in offering up lessons. Expand on that just a little bit as to what that means to you, what you think that means to a possible customer. When you talk about lessons, describe kind of your take on them and your how you'll go about it, your strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a people person. I always loved teaching lessons. I was teaching swim lessons before I actually like took disc golf full time. So I even started teaching disc golf lessons at the same time I was doing swim lessons to kind of just better myself in the teaching aspect. So I've done lessons for quite some time, and it's a great feeling knowing you have something so simple, yet people are like almost requiring it to be like, I need someone to point out what I'm doing wrong. I can't just like see someone on YouTube do it and figure it out by doing it that way. But it really is a lot of fun, especially with all these new people these new clients that I'm getting. I get to pretty much make new friends, learn their personalities, and really teach them the proper form with putting, approach shots, proper stance, grip, a little bit of everything.
So I feel like every instructor has like a slightly different angle as to whether it's their strong suit or just something that differentiates themselves from the next instructor or the next top pro, whether that's, a Tristan Tanner versus a Yuli versus you versus anyone. I think I saw Brody the other day talking about it. Like everybody goes about teaching differently. Is there any one thing that you feel you're exceptional at in terms of your teaching methods or strategy? Is there, or any kind of tool or asset or resource that you use that you feel like makes you the next best, or the best instructor out there?
I'm not gonna say I'm the best instructor in the world. I haven't really watched too much of how other instructors teach. I actually got a lesson from Paul, like mid-season when I was struggling with putting. He gave me like a free lesson. That's pretty funny.
Was that on the
but,
course during a round where he was like lights out, or
no,
was that was okay? That was a dedicated.
Yeah, we were at like an Airbnb. I'm like, Paul, man, you're like the teacher. You're Paul. Can you just help me out, please, real quick? And it was when like my putting was super off, nothing was feeling right. But I think that's what I'm best at is teaching putting.
Okay.
I can break it down to like the simplest fashion and just make you a better putter just by eliminating all of like different factors that you might have in your putt already.
It's funny because in doing commentary this weekend and rewatching, you play, your putting was something that came to mind in the fact that it's so streamlined. It doesn't feel like there's any extra movement or unnecessary, like, I don't want to just call it jerkiness, but like unnecessary movements at all. Some people have a whole lot of wind up, and they might be great putters and have a whole lot of mechanics and things unfolding and taking place and going just right. Like, well, you're very straightforward.
I mean, look at Kelvin. Kelvin has that extra kind of like almost a page pierce where they lift it up above their head, pull it down,
which is
and it works for him. I would never tell Kelvin to change his putt, but I'm just saying, in theory, that's all extra.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to, teach somebody that. So
and it seems.
Go ahead.
It seems like every person that I've taught a lesson to, their putting, I have to fix it because they're doing something crazy like how you guys are explaining. They'll like pull the disc up and then like maybe move it off to the side and then like back and then up or something like that. And you don't need to do all that. It's just so much extra work.
Yeah, and I'll call myself out and say, like, someone I think of is like I think of Chris Clemens, phenomenal putter. So clearly I'm not second guessing his putting. He's a phenomenal putter. I feel like there's like one or two or three extra like moves or angle, things that he puts on when he brings his arm through. And again, it works for him. You just wonder if you were starting from scratch, if he was giving a lesson, he wouldn't be like, well, here's how you need to move your arm, these three extra ways before you release it. But it ultimately works for him. So it's really interesting to see that. And for people that are watching round one and tomorrow going to watch round two, how would you rate your putting performance this weekend? If you reflect for a minute, how would you rate your putting performance?
I I can only think about that hole 17. I took 4 putts on it, I think, in 2 rounds, so I can't. But
Yeah, you
everything
did.
else was pretty good. Or maybe it was 5 putts actually. No, thinking about it. Yeah, it was
Uh,
5 putts. It was. So
from
I
like
went, I
inside,
went, I went.
4 of which were inside the circle.
Yeah, I went eagle to par and then eagle to birdie on one of them. So,
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
what is it with
probably
that
like a.
hole? What is it with that hole? Sorry, but what?
Are we talking
Man,
classic 17, the short?
No, no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no.
All
We're
right, just want to
talking
make sure.
17 pretty much played
gunite
as
hole.
the old 12, as
Okay,
the X as the
yes.
Memorial 12 over the gunite, which got pushed back in the
Yes.
last year, so it does make it much harder to drive. It's not elevated, but as you said, you got on the green, but just couldn't.
It was just too easy. I don't know. It just felt too easy and just shank it. It was wild. But I mean, overall, the putting was sweet this weekend. The ones I did miss, either like maybe an inch low or I think that's what my miss was this weekend. Like just an inch low, and it felt like those should have gone in.
Mm.
But probably like an 8 out of 10 this weekend. It was there.
Okay.
It was feeling good.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it looked really good. I feel like you got robbed potentially on one particular putt.
I wish you had a different camera angle on that one.
To be fair, I was a tad out of position, but I also was like, well, this is a cleanup from like 8 feet. I'm
Yeah.
surprised I even hit record actually. And he was directly in line with the putt. He threw the putt and somehow it fell out. And I remember just being in shock,
It was
because all I could see is your reaction. I'm like, what? That fell out?
Bad
was-
putt or just the worst spit?
Yeah, bad.
worst spit out I think I've had all year. Is like super low, dead center, like nose down, going into the cage, and then it just like kind of popped up and back out, and it was like, nope, thank you, next time maybe.
It definitely, and it was super short range, and yeah, there's seemingly, again, I wasn't even putting any stock in that somehow not going in, and the fact that I sensed your reaction, I was like, what the hell just happened? But, all right, well, yeah, and that's why I don't consider that a bad putt. Like it might not have gone in, but it definitely wasn't a bad putt either. So, this weekend, 2 rounds. Obviously, that's almost like a break or a little reprieve from your typical, 3 or 4 round events. Is there a little piece of you that likes that or loves that, or would you rather see a 3 round like keep going and even in the off season kind of thing? Like, how do you feel about just a 2 round event, so to speak?
Man, I wish that event was like a 15-round event. The ratings were insane. I love playing that course. I mean,
It's a good way to pump up your ratings before the next season. Be like, no, look at this.
yeah, and also I was bummed because it didn't actually count to this ratings update, and I think I would have been like 1020 if it went to my ratings update. So I'm 1018. I think that would have for sure bumped it up. But
Someday we'll have to have that conversation about if ratings matter to our top pros or not. And enter Exhibit A.
well, I mean, I've never been this high before. I
Okay.
keep going up and keep going up, and it's like, I mean, it probably won't matter to me once if I reach like 1030, 1040 rating, then I'll be like, oh, whatever. I've been here for so long, it doesn't even matter. Once you
Okay.
really can't go up anymore.
Yeah, today was the last day for the PDGA ratings update here for 2023. So I think that's exactly what you're talking about. I wonder if even they got it in on Sunday night, if it would have counted or when they submitted. I didn't look, but yeah, sorry. It'll help out next ratings update though.
Oh yeah, well, yep. I'm happy about that.
So just to share with the world, any more golf, organized, sanctioned or unsanctioned, any more competitive golf yet in 2023 on your calendar?
Oh yeah, it's always competitive. Every single time I go out and play with like Anthony Barella, dude.
Sure.
How much we playing for 1,000? Oh, dude.
I don't have that AB money. I haven't got my own jersey yet.
Jeez. Okay,
Yeah.
so actual tournament golf. Any of that left?
Nah, not. I mean, in the off season, yes. Not for 2023.
Okay.
I just love playing tournaments in general. I'm gonna go play. If they'll have me, I didn't sign up for it yet, but the Lake Havasu Open, I'm gonna do that one.
Okay.
And then Shelly Sharp and Maricopa, I think, are gonna be my my 3 that I'm planning on going to, and maybe even like a trip back to California if La Mirada is doing something.
Sure. Okay. I think did they have a tournament this, was that next weekend?
Christmas?
This last weekend?
Christmas time open?
This past weekend, Huntington Beach had a tournament.
What did it feel like to not go play in that, or was there just never even a question with you being
I mean, my homie took it down. Jake Fraley, shout out Jake Fraley for taking it down. He probably would have smoked me. He shot pretty well. But I would have much rather played this event just because Huntington Beach is like pretty much known for giving out the worst ratings you could possibly imagine.
Okay.
So I'm not really into that. Just going out there shooting a 10 under and having it be 985 rated. So I'm not really into that.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like you're Arizona through and through when you're mentioning all those upcoming events. Of course, talking about Maricopa, that's only about a month away. Shelly Sharp is only a month away. We often talk about, well, we're in the off season, and then sure enough, it feels like the off season just keeps compressing, and next thing you know, we're going to be into 2024. Where do you stand? Yeah, obviously had this banner season, a breakout season. Where do you stand in terms of 2024 obligations? Are you locked in with a contract? Has there been negotiations? Where is that all in your world right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's like it is a whole new world for me. I've never had to really deal with this before. But it's like cool, like people kind of want me now. It's like, wow. So I'm I am going through negotiations. I mean, I wouldn't say big deal, but it's nice not having to like really go out to every company and get rejected by all of them. So that's what happened originally. So I mean, this is a lot better than that.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that last time when we had you on after DDO, that you reached out to a ton of different companies and almost got very, very little enthusiasm for Parker Welck.
Bunch of X's for P-Dub over here, but I mean, it's been cool. Nothing I can really talk about right now.
Okay,
but yeah.
All right, so
you I mean, we'll talk about your season a little bit here. You finished first at DDO. We had you on the show. You talked all about how I specifically remember talking to you about the fact that you were going into a stretch of events that you had never played before, basically. A bunch of courses you didn't know, and that you were really excited to kind of get them under your belt. And I think even maybe in your own words, you said, don't have a lot of high expectations for me this year. That you're looking forward to learning the courses, getting something under your belt. How do you feel like the last half of your season went? I'm looking at, a few caches, some decent caches at USEGC, and obviously everyone gets the Pro Tour cache when you make the finale, which is a very nice bonus. But you had an injury. You was it Idlewild? You rolled your ankle, or
Northwood. What is that one?
Oh, that's Ledgestone. That's Ledgestone. Okay,
Ledgestone. Yep.
Yeah, it was.
How do you break down the last half of your season? How do you reflect on it?
I mean, it's still courses that I've never really played before, but it felt like, I was fighting for something a little bit more, knowing that I got to start doing like, I got to show up now that I won. I got to start like really, even if I don't know the course, like go out there and like still kind of prove that I can still kind of hang, even though my original expectation was just to, simply learn everything and then go out in 2024 and just smash. So, it was all right. I'm happy with how I finished. It could be better, could be worse, but
what are
decent.
You also seemed a little uncertain due to traveling and time away from your wife and everything else. Like, put it all on the table as to what your plan looks like for 2024 and how that compares to even what you thought was going to happen 6 months ago. What does 2024 look like for you?
Honestly, it's kind of open right now. I'm sure I'll be doing Airbnbs with like the same crew. That I had quite a lot of fun with those guys last year with like the AB, Adam Hammis, Tristan, and Austin Turner and those guys. I really like to do that again. I mean, we haven't had like a formal talk about it or anything, but I'm just assuming. But if not, then I have no idea what I'm gonna do.
Who's the planner in that group? I'm trying to think like.
Oh, I got some ideas, but go ahead.
I would for some reason Tristan Tanner seems like he'd be the guy that would be like, yeah, okay,
go.
Like I know
he's the most responsible.
I know AB, I know Hammis, they're great guys, but it doesn't like those guys don't seem like the kind they're going to call you up and be like, okay, Parker, it looks like on the 5th weekend we're going to be here. Like that,
and
just
it's gonna be 122.50, and you're taking care of pasta on Thursday night.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like those two at all.
Yeah, but I mean, shout out Tristan. When I was watching what they were doing, like Tristan, he was like almost like the father figure in that group, just kind of taking care of him.
With that, is it a car? Is it a van? What does travel kind of look like for you? And will your wife join you, or how's that all going to work?
I mean, right now I don't even have a car. I mean, I got a car, but it definitely won't make it too far.
Okay.
So I still don't really know. But I know everything's going to kind of work out when I really need it to. So I'm not too worried. I'm staying patient and kind of listening to my offers that I have, and just kind of slinging it, honestly.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I'm just going to timestamp it. It's December 12th. We're talking about 2024.
He's got 2 months.
Okay, I'm just putting a timestamp out there. Right. I don't know if you have a countdown on your calendar or not, but okay.
So about 2024, what type of expectations do you have going in? Because I mean, I'm going to say something that's not super shocking to you. There's a lot of, not us, of course, here in Smashbox, but there's other media that kind of looked at your DDO win like a fluke. Like, oh, there was Calvin and there's Gannon and there's, Ricky. Oh yeah, and Parker Welck won one. Like it kind of feels that way when I listen to some of the other people talk. What are your expectations for next year? Like you plan on coming out and smashing?
Yeah, I'm swinging for the fences next year. Now that I saw the courses, I know where to land. I know where not to land. I have the mentality. I think it's going to be a great year for me. I'm not going to win 5 events or anything like that. But
not with that attitude.
I know how to win. well, I mean, I know how to win now, so I'm definitely not counting myself out in that factor. I think I'll get another win. I think I'll finish the season top 30. Those are kind of my goals. Get another win, finish top 30.
Okay. Again, I keep using the word reflecting, but as you look back at this season, was there a pocket? Was there a section of either the country or a set of courses? What kind of jumps out at you as some of the more memorable things? Obviously, you have the big win, but what are some of the other things that were really, really memorable, or does that translate right into like what you're already looking forward to in 2024? But what jumps out at you?
There's a few things actually. I had a lot of fun this year. It seemed like every single stop was just a blast. What kind of pops out at me is not even a tour stop, honestly. We were in Alabama, and we were playing this A tier. It was me and Matty O battling it out for the win, and of course he took it down. We were playing his home course, but I got to eat some of the best fast food. I saw a freaking alligator for my first time. That was insane. That was up there, and what was it? The not MVP. What was the first Great Lakes Open when Simon won?
Yeah, he won that one. Yep.
I think that's the one. But I got invited to stay with those guys with Simon and a huge Airbnb on the lake, and I was out paddleboarding like every day, and it was so much fun. That was me, Casey White, Trevin, Paul Yulee, and Simon, and we just had so much fun. We were playing like Yahtzee, board games, but it was mostly that paddleboarding that did it for me. And of course, we have some party stories with like the AB crew, some unforgettable moments with like Aaron Gossage, and maybe even going out to Tennessee to the bars. I mean, just some of the more funny moments of my entire life that I will never forget. So I'm really, really grateful that I kind of got into that crew, and they were like kind of showing me the ropes of the pro tour, and doing it in a fun way.
When I was around this weekend, when you look at how hard some people go in terms of enjoying themselves on any given night, versus maybe a little quieter and or reserved and or subdued, like where do you put yourself on that spectrum? A scale 1 to 10 from raging monster all the way to guy sitting in the corner reading a book. Where do you put yourself on that scale?
I mean, it kind of depends. I mean, I wish you would have saw me after my DDO win. I didn't even know where I was, that sort of thing. But
Okay.
Firehouse probably.
but I'm not a drinker. I don't drink I just don't drink like ever unless I'm like at a party and I just drink to be social and so I'm in between. I feel like I'm never gonna go like crazy stupid hard, but we'll have fun if we're celebrating some.
All right. No, I got to give you one, Sarah. All right. AB tees off at 2:30. You tee off at 10:30. He says, "Hey, we're going out to a dance club tonight in Charlotte. Are you joining him?"
I mean, if I'm teeing off at 10:30, bro, I'm not doing too well already. So
It could be first round. That could be first round. You don't know.
I don't know. Well, it's different with those guys because they're staying out to like 3 a.m. and stuff. I normally like to keep it reasonable. I'm a reasonable guy, so if they're staying out that late, I'll probably bring my own car and leave at midnight or something.
Okay. We need a spill the tea podcast with Parker Welck. I want to hear all the stories.
Hey.
Well, I guess that's my next question. Looking behind you, you've got a bunch of those sound dampeners. What is this your place? Do you?
This is from partying.
It keeps the noise down for the neighbors.
Party room. No, I'm joking. When we moved in, we have like I said, we didn't really see the place, and I'm actually in a closet right now. It's my guest room closet. I turned into like my game room. I wanted to start like streaming and doing some cool stuff this off season. So I kind of did a little bit of acoustics kind of everywhere in this room. So yeah,
sound great. That's good.
So what's the
Thank you.
even though Johnny nor I are gamers, we got to ask because I know people are wondering. Then what's the game and stream of choice? What are you working with?
I mean, if I'm streaming, I'm usually playing like Fortnite because that's kind of the game that everybody knows how to play. Everyone kind of likes. I've been playing a little bit with like Anthony Barella, Austin Turner, Jake Brown, a few of those guys when I stream just to make it a little more fun for the viewers. Not just looking at Parker. They can hear like AVs making some funny comments. But yeah, I do a little bit of that. But I play other games like Call of Duty. I've been playing some World of Warcraft. Shout out Eric Oakley. I think he plays that too.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, I play a little bit of everything.
Okay. And where are you streaming? And somebody's asking for your handle. I don't know if that's different on every
Yeah,
platform or not.
I'm streaming on YouTube. It's just my Instagram name, Disco, no space. I'll probably hop on, start streaming after this. I don't know, maybe.
All right, guys, join in. You guys can see what's going on.
So you don't stream to Twitch like the gaming. You go your YouTube.
Nah.
All right.
Yeah, YouTube. I mean, I honestly I don't even know what I was thinking. I've never been a streamer before. I have one of my friends on Discord, is what we call it. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Oh yeah, you guys are familiar.
Yeah.
But he's a streamer, and he kind of walked me through, and he's like, "Oh, just do this, and YouTube will probably be easier for your viewers because they're disc golfers, rather than like full on gamers like trying to find like a game. I'm viewing to like my fans rather than
sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Other people. Yeah,
nice.
Huh? What time did you leave Sunday night?
I don't even know, dude. That was another party win, dude.
I feel
you're gonna see Parker's season be like up, down, up. Down. like I just partied and then I recovered and then I partied.
I was just saying things went really late on Sunday night, and I feel like you got out of there before
you did.
Most of he got out of there. Before,
no, and I'm saying
before,
he got out before you did. Clearly,
yeah. Well, I was staying there, so I had the fortunate. I was fortunate that I could just finally call it when I wanted to.
But before going over there, Jake Brown was staying at my house this week, and my wife asked me, well, Parker, is there going to be any other girls there? And I'm like, yeah, of course there's going to be girls. We show up, there's literally no girls. My wife is just like standing there with me. But I'm really thankful that like everyone's super cool, and they're all like asking her questions, and it's not just like, oh, girl. But it was fun. Ricky's house is sweet, and he's got like the jacuzzi and the ice plunge and pool table, ping pong table, poker table. You got everything, so it's the spot to be. I've been enjoying my time there.
Yeah, no shortage of entertainment. But yeah, that's very true. Unless it almost would take all the collective golfers for the ones that have significant others, for them all to bring them at once, because otherwise it's just like every disc golf tournament. It's like, for every 9 guys, there's one woman that's there in some capacity. So, yes, I could understand that, her thinking like, oh God, what am I doing here? I should have just let you come alone. I don't need to be here for this.
Oh, it's really funny because it brings me back to when we were at USCGC. We went to a putting night, and there was a gentleman who was putting who looked like he brought his girlfriend with him to the bar. So she's sitting there with a friend of hers, and at one point, I swear to God, Terry was sitting there. We both heard her say, "You said it was going to be an hour. It's been 4 hours." Because he did the full putting night, and he kept going, and she was just sitting there, and you could tell she just hated life at that point. She's lucky she had a friend, but I can understand where it's like, even 4 hours of a putting league for me might be a little bit much.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful I have literally the best wife in the entire world. So even that night, she brought her bathing suit. It was me and Fern were kind of just like, all right, what are we gonna do? And Fern was like, all right, let's hop in the jacuzzi. So we hung out in the jacuzzi for a while, and I played some pool. She actually beat me in pool, which is I'm pretty ashamed of. But,
oh damn!
Sorry.
But I mean, was that a legit upset, or is she just a better pool player than you though?
I mean, she's listening in the other room. So,
so she's good. She's an up-and-comer. That's what we're going to say. She's
she's fantastic.
Yeah. Solid.
She's very good. Yeah.
She's a great teacher. She's a great teacher.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, helping you out. Very good. It's been a pretty crazy 2023. What has been most... I know we talked about kind of like lessons and reflections, but like anything shock you? Anything where you're like, I just don't believe this, or I never imagined this is what goes on, in professional disc golf in any capacity. It doesn't have to be bad, but anything just absolutely shocking or mind blowing for you this year?
Oh, actually, I have one, and it's going to surprise you. It was when I showed up to I don't even know where it was. It was my first time playing at a Pro Tour event, and they had, or one of the first times that had like their own bathrooms. And when I walked into the bathroom, it had like AC in it, and I'm like, bro, this is insane. I could, so that really threw me off and shocked me. I don't think we ever really had too many of those, but maybe we had other ones with like fans, and they like very well ventilated, and they were super nice. Full mirrors, the whole 9 yards in those bathrooms, and it was just so much nicer than just like sticking a porta potty in like the corner and be like, there you go over there.
Mm-hmm. What what comes to mind, but I feel like it's too late, is Idlewild. Idlewild always is above and beyond with the bathrooms, kind of like you're describing. The only other times I've seen bathrooms that nice was at Nantucket, when we were there for the Nantucket Open, and I don't think they probably have bad porta potties in Nantucket. So I guess my question is, was it Idlewild you're thinking of, or was it another event we should be shouting out?
No, it wasn't my first one. It was because my first one was like Vegas or something. So
okay,
we had that, but I'm not entirely sure. It was during like the beginning of the year though. It was Texas. It was literally just Waco, I think. And
okay.
I walked in and I was like, pretty nice up in here, and they let us stay in the parking lot, and I was like, okay, I can get used to this a little bit.
Okay, well, shout out to Waco then, because I don't. Yeah. The last time I was there, I don't think they had that scale of porta potties. So shout out to Waco for continuing to raise the bar,
upgrading the porta potties. That's what we like to see.
And honestly, like
it's those amenities that people clearly stick with people.
Yeah, some people might think that sounds silly, but it's really not. Like when you go to an event, and it's like you said, has the one or two that maybe don't feel like they've been serviced in months, and then you have people going way above and beyond. Like we're seeing apparently at Waco as well. So that's pretty awesome. I like it. We should get Waco on the phone and say, hey, we're giving out new awards. Parker,
that's right.
Parker's got a year-end award for you.
So there's a lot of awards being handed out.
I got like a weird taste in my mouth in Waco too, because that was literally my worst birthday I've ever had in my entire life. I woke up at like, I don't know, 5 a.m. in Arizona, because it was just after the memorial. I hop in the car on my birthday with Jake Brown, and we drive for like 20 hours straight to Waco for my birthday. So I was in the car for 20 hours straight, basically, and it was just a happy birthday to me. I do not want to do that again.
Okay. That I guess brings up another question. We're going to talk about the All-Stars and all that stuff a little bit later in the show, but this year, obviously, the schedule got, I'll say, jumbled up, for lack of a better term, just because it's not our normal schedule. Things starting in Florida, not having the start in Vegas, and then head down to the Memorial. You said you're playing in the Memorial. Does that mean you're not at all concerned about will you fly out to Florida? Like, how will any of that factor into your early season plans?
Yeah, I'm honestly unsure about even going to Florida.
Uh-huh.
It's to me, there's like a 50-50 chance that I'm even going to be of Florida. I think my first event might possibly be just Texas. So
Okay.
there's that. And yeah, I mean, just flying all the way to Florida just to fly all the way back, just to drive all the way to Texas is quite a lot. I'd rather just like take the week off and just be here without all the travel.
Yeah, and to be fair, obviously people on the other side of the country thought the exact same the last few years of Vegas. They say, well, I don't want to go all the way out to Vegas, maybe or maybe not Memorial, but then come back to Texas. So we saw, again, some of our players just say, I'm just going to start in Texas. I'm not going to put Vegas on my radar for that reason. So obviously it's kind of relative to where you are, and I think that makes perfect sense, and I don't think
It's
there's
completely
any way
fair,
we can
yeah.
avoid that. Yeah. Just out of complete naivete, I'll ask, how do tour cards, or do you have any concerns? Are you fully eligible for anything and everything you want to play next year? How does that get earned? What does that look like for you? In
Yeah, I
terms
mean,
of the DGBT events.
yeah. So I mean, I was top 80 last year, so
Okay.
and I won an event, so I get the tour card. But basically, you pay a certain amount just to have the card, and then you could pick and choose which events you actually want to go to. And I have until January 15th or something to pick and choose each event. So if I only want to play the U.S. events and minus Florida, then I check all the boxes for that. And or if I don't want to play anything, and so I just leave it all open. So they make it easy.
Okay.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, is there any event, whether it's a schedule conflict or just maybe a part of the country or a course, is there any event that you're like, yeah, I'm kind of on the fence, or I'm leaning toward not even being part of that? I know you just said Florida, but is there anything else where for whatever reason?
Yeah. The European events, I think, they're gonna have to wait until next year or not next year, but 2025 for me to get out there, because I don't know. It's there's a bunch of mixed reviews, and I really want to go, but I need to be in a position where I could bring my wife with me. There's no way I'm going to do that without the wife coming with me. So she's got to save up some sick days, and we'll go out there together. Hopefully spend like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that out there.
Yeah, that's a tough sell with your wife, being like, "Oh, later, honey, I'm gonna go visit all these really cool countries without you." Like, see ya.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I tried to pull that this year, and it didn't work out for me either.
What you're I guess I'm just assuming, do you have any other non-disc golf related income that you're concerned about obtaining? Is there any other side gigs or hustles or anything else, or even part-time, whatever you want to call it? Is there anything else that you're doing besides disc golf?
No, not I'm doing the lessons, but that's basically it. So I'm basically just using the lessons right now, just to kind of build up some income, just to go on tour. I don't really have anything. I might be selling some discs. I have been selling discs actually.
Okay.
Just because I have way too many.
Sure. Okay. And that's there's obviously more opportunities than ever before in terms of what our players can do in the off season, depending on your skill set. And then if you can jump onto a Fiverr and fulfill some opportunities there, or Ubering or whatever. And I just know everybody has a slightly different.
I just like the fact that he kind of clarified, because this season right now, if someone sees you selling discs, the automatic assumption is, oh, did you see Parker? He's selling some of his Prodigy discs.
Yeah,
Clearly,
he
must be leaving. Like, this is and like that is the rumors that spread everywhere. And you're just saying that, like, no, bro, I got a lot of discs. Like, it doesn't matter.
No, I'm selling more than just Prodigy. I have so much like Innova because I used to throw Innova a lot, and so I have just a ton of Innova that I'm selling, ton of Prodigy that I'm selling. I just don't have a lot of space.
Yeah. So so don't make any assumptions on what's going to happen based on maybe the social media stuff.
Yeah, and
We're
he's
still
graciously, donating at Fountain Hills. It sounds
That's
like
true. Yeah,
just making donations.
Just head out there and you'll get some.
Not on purpose, bro. Not on purpose.
All right, Parker. We appreciate all of your insights. It was, of course, awesome watching you perform this weekend. Tomorrow is, of course, when the second round will come out, and hopefully everybody enjoys consuming all of that and seeing how it all went down.
Skip hole 17 is what you're saying? That's what I heard.
No, he'll be all right.
Hit that right arrow a few times.
Give us, floor is totally yours. Go ahead and please not only shout out any of your socials and how people should follow and support and follow along with you, but then also any sponsors or recognition you'd like to shout out in any given way. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone watching in Arizona, you guys are awesome. Everyone's been so nice since I moved in here. It's honestly been crazy. Everybody just Parker. Oh, is that Parker? Do you live here now? Like, whoa, dude! Like, we got to get around. Like, all that sort of stuff. Love that. And shout out my wife. She's listening in the other room, of course. I'm gonna say that every time.
Yeah. You should.
Yep.
And yeah. Oh, and all my Instagram, all the good stuff. Disco, come join the live stream. Of course, after the Smashbox is done. Don't come just yet. That's it.
All right,
go watch some Fortnite. So I got a question because I've got a son who plays a little bit of Fortnite. He was bragging the other day how him and his buddies they ran up. Are you playing Didn't they go back to like an original Fortnite, or now there's like a Lego Fortnite? What are you playing? What are you rolling with?
I think I'm gonna try the Lego Fortnite tonight. I haven't played it yet, but I mean, it seems like it's been really fun, and I guess there's like a new car racing thing in it. I don't know. I'm gonna check out all of it. So
that's great. I've never played Fortnite, but I've watched my son do it enough where it's just like, okay, I look at him like, I kind of understand that, but not enough. So have fun, kid.
That sounds like some fatherly advice here for Parker. We kind of understand, but maybe that's how we close that out. You can't beat him on the course probably unless you get lessons from him. So your best chance is to go find him on Fortnite or some other streaming
there you go.
Opportunity. So with that, everyone, that is our Big Arm Challenge champion. That's Parker Welck. Thanks again for joining us. You're welcome here anytime. You don't have to win a tournament. You can jump on really with us anytime you want. But
any news you want to share or anything, we're always here.
Yeah, and anytime you got anything, we're here for you, buddy. So thanks for joining us and have a good night.
Same to you guys. Peace.
All right. See you later, Park.
Take care.
Parker Welck.
Yeah. Doubling his Smashbox appearances here this year.
In 2023.
Yeah, picking up another win. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, because you would have looked, based on the name, Big Arm Challenge. He's not, like you said, he's not the guy that you would have probably picked. I mean, he's a solid player, but he's not the furthest thrower. I mean, you've got like Cupcake,
yep.
AB. Mm-hmm. You've got a couple other big names. You and I know
Connor Rock
is a
no
big
shortage
thrower.
of distance out there in Arizona.
So for that type of distance, you would maybe have picked someone who throws a little further. Now, there's no denying Parker's skills. Everybody, once you get to the green, has to put the disc in the basket. So, but good for him.
And to be fair, when it was all said and done, this course comes in at 9,600 feet. It is obviously a long and challenging course, but it was not just raw.
Not raw distance.
Raw distance either. You still had plenty of water, as we talked about. There's certainly some strategy on a number of holes where there's a water carry even late in the round that is a kind of a made up hole or a safari type hole. So there's a lot of different ways that you could find plenty of trouble out there. So raw distance, it wasn't clearly just about the raw distance. Although Parker I'm that much more convinced he is not short in the distance department either. So if you were questioning it and maybe didn't necessarily put him in that category, watch him play this weekend and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what's going on.
He's got enough distance to stay competitive.
Especially with how smooth and beautiful his forehands are and how he can lean into those. And we saw plenty of that at the Dynamic Disc Open. So awesome to see him out there. So and he's clarifying, and I appreciate this. He's clarifying on the board 500 both ways.
That is plenty of distance. I didn't realize he had, like, I knew he had 500 backhand. I didn't realize he had 500 forehand as well.
Yeah, it's
okay. So never mind then. He's definitely enough distance for anybody to keep up.
And so impressively, again,
that's a guy I'd like to get lessons from.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping things clean was definitely a big part of the strategy as well, and that obviously paid off. Going through that course bogey free is definitely a feat of its own. It just because of the fact, like the front 6, 8, or 9 or so, or even the front 10, we'll say, all played on the easier side versus the back, where you could easily rack up some really big numbers. But staying bogey free throughout all 18 holes on that course, like I said, that was a tremendous feat in itself. So congratulations to him. All right, you want to read off our couple of top contenders?
Yeah, we'll talk about that real quick. Second place behind Parker by 3 strokes was Jordan Castro, tied with Connor Rock. In fourth place was, I'm going to go with Julian Celis. Fifth place, AB, Anthony Barella. Party animal, it sounds like.
No.
We're just going to, listen, I can spread some rumors now. We got a little bit of...
You might see an Instagram post tomorrow. That'll answer all your questions.
Okay, I look forward to your Instagram post. Sixth place, Chris Pates. 7, Andrew Miranda, and a tie for 8th between Max Nichols and Mason Holtz. In the FPO field, no surprise, Jen Allen crushes the field. I think she won by like 30-some strokes.
33 only.
33 only. Oh, gosh, Jen, come on, let's get on it.
To be fair, on Friday night, I said it would be 36, so I was off my mark.
You were off just a little bit.
Wildly.
So congratulations, Jen Allen, on your FPO victory.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Kind of a quick recap, just overall. Again, the course and the changes were a big part of the conversation, playing it in a different order. There's a hole, literally, that, hole 18, so to speak, you're essentially playing backwards from what we're used to seeing out there. So some of that was really cool to see, talking to Ricky and AB and really all of the different players, kind of getting a feel for what you like in some of those holes. Should they be more of an adopted version of the other layout or not, or keeping them separate? But nonetheless, it was a lot of fun out there. I think it was 176 competitors when it was all said and done. And that probably is that's definitely on the upper limit as to how many you can have out there, because you're talking about long shots with OBs. And if you don't have the highest overall average skill ratings,
so what you're saying is
strokes can add up quickly.
Either reduce the field or maybe have some of the other fields play
slightly easier
pins.
That might be a possibility.
Maybe an XX medium. I don't know.
The X medium. I don't know. Sure. But overall, it was a lot of fun out there seeing a 2-round event over the 2 days. I have not personally worked a lot with the Desert Flyers Club and Tommy Guns, and they all put on a really good show. I know Ideo Footwear was turned out to be a significant sponsor as well. Part of their sponsorship is me giving away some new Ideo shoes through my channel.
Thanks.
Isn't that incredible that we've got an opportunity to do that? So that was really cool to see. And then to put it out there yet again, I got to thank Ricky for joining me on commentary. Some of your conversation that you said last week about having Rick on really just kind of sparked the idea. And to be fair, there's a lot of people that I want to continue to bring in as commentators, co-commentators, that I think would have a lot of fun with it. Clearly, a ton of our pros are insightful.
Was he as mean as I hoped?
No.
Oh, Rick. No, that's okay.
He wasn't mean.
Blunt, harsh.
He wasn't even really those
honest.
Either. There was some good play, and we just called it as it was. The one challenge, I guess, to put it out there, the one biggest challenge is I generally cut and edit relatively tight.
Because usually a one-man thing. So to have the extra space is a little bit more luxurious with 2 people.
Yeah, and so in doing so, and then having Rick, who hasn't commentated on any post-production since 2016's Masters Cup, since the Masters Cup that I put together.
Yeah, since like the Raptor legs were almost practically debuted there.
It's kind of crazy because I didn't realize that. He's like, I haven't done this in forever. And then At first he said, I don't know if I've ever done it. I said, no, you did it with me in 2016. He's like, that was the last time.
Wow.
So that in itself is kind of like a sub-story.
And that's a whole different Rick.
Oh,
that's pre-media Rick. Like Rick now is a little bit more slick Rick. We've got he's much more comfortable in front of a microphone.
Giving us that big Rick energy.
Giving you the big Rick energy, as I hear. He's much more comfortable.
It was great. We also got to use his theater room. Of course, the best soundproofing you could ask for really anywhere in anyone's house. We used his theater room to be able to record it, and he was great. And I told him the one big challenge we're going to have is just the fact that this is cut very, very edited relatively quickly. There's not a whole lot of setup and story time. We're calling it as it is as we move forward. Okay. And I thought he did great. And he even messaged me and he's like, it seems like people are kind of enjoying it. I said, they absolutely are. People loved his insights. There were multiple times he says, here's what I think will happen. And then the next throw, that's exactly what would happen. And he genuinely hadn't seen it.
Sure.
And so
he didn't follow the cards around.
No. So he clearly, obviously knows what he's talking about when he's out there. So it seemed to be very well received. Spoiler, unfortunately, due to timing, the second round commentary is me solo. But it was good having him, and I think we're going to have him more involved in the future. And as we kind of referenced, it was a pleasure that he hosted. I didn't know what it would be like out there in terms of arriving into town. I also didn't know there'd be like 6 to 8 other golfers all staying at the house, which he has room for. It was such a great mix of individuals. And then as Parker kind of touched on, Sunday night, there was a little bit of a celebratory get-together after the fact, which I arrived too late, and I'll talk about that in the after show. But it was a lot of fun. So congrats to all the players. Congrats to the Desert Flyers, all the supporters, all the sponsors. It was their 4th time running this event. We've got a new champion on that trophy in terms of the MPO division. And as Parker, has indicated, like, that's some pretty good company when you're talking about Gossage and Barella, and then being able to add himself to that list.
Nice ring he got too.
And a ring. Yeah. Going with a ring this year.
I like
as a trophy. Somebody said, I don't think it was Parker, but somebody did say at one point, like, that'd be cool if just all the trophies went to that. Like if events went that route, which is an idea.
I mean, I could see something like having your event trophy that stays at the event, that your name gets put on, like the Bear at the Preserve or some other ones where we, in town here, we always had the Silver Cup, where it stayed. And then the player gets some sort of small memorabilia, because we all know, and everybody, I'll say this, when you finally settle down, when you're probably in your 40s, having all those trophies could be kind of cool. But you could also have a row of rings too, which could look kind of cool. I can understand how some people might not, would still maybe like a regular trophy, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to a few rings out there. I don't think every event should be a ring, but maybe DGPT, you've got to, I kind of maybe do like that, because it wouldn't be the first time. The very first season, the DGPT gave away a ring at the end of the season.
So
ponder that a little bit.
Pretty cool to see out there. And yet again, thanks to all of the people that help make it possible. And if this becomes another trip to Arizona to cover some great golf late in the season, I could suffer through it for the sake of the fans.
No, you're so giving. You're so selfless.
If it's what I got to do.
All right, let's talk about some other news happening in our sport. Last week on Wednesday, a day late, even by their standards, they meant to release on Tuesday, but they had some issues. The Disc Golf Pro Tour announced Disc Golf Network 2.0. What does that mean?
We really didn't talk about this?
No, because it happened Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, we did not get a chance to talk about it, and because I remember I was messaging with Tosi, who headed up the project, and we even discussed maybe having him on, but he is an East Coaster, and we had Parker tonight, so didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to have him on to maybe talk about the new Disc Golf Network. But Disc Golf Pro Tour has put out a few different things as far as things, but more or less, it's a new platform. So if you have Disc Golf Network on basically anything other than your mobile phone, you need to delete it and reinstall it. For your phone, I think you probably just have to do an update and it will probably just update your phone. But if you want, delete it off your phone, put it back on there. It's different in a lot of ways. I think there's still one or two little quirks that they're working out, but I have logged into the platform. I have watched just briefly, just to test it out, some video. It's a really nice player. It's resizable when you pop it out in the picture-in-picture. It does, my understanding is, and we haven't tested the live yet. I haven't, because I haven't been involved in that. I'm hoping behind the scenes they have already tested this out, but we are told that it will have pause, rewind, all the full DVR features. I don't know about playback speed. So if, let's say, you're an hour and a half behind, if it's going to have 1.5 speed, I haven't heard or seen that yet. But we will, at least for the live platform, I haven't seen that yet. But other than that, it's a whole new system powered by a company called Insys, and they are a company, I believe, out of Poland that they're working with. They do a lot of other, they're called more or less white box platforms, which is kind of like, and I don't want to wreck anyone's day, kind of like what Vimeo did with a generic platform that then they can, with Insys, they are more than likely going to be able to tweak it, unlike the way the Vimeo platform was. Vimeo kind of handed you something, said, we'll brand this as you, but it's going to be the same as everybody else. Which is why you kind of saw Disc Golf Stream have a very similar look and very similar feel to Disc Golf Network. But with Insys, I think the platform is a little bit more malleable as far as tweaks and what they want to do. The other thing is the back end will be AWS. And for those of you that don't know, that's Amazon, where you do your Christmas shopping. They also own a giant, couple hundred data centers or whatever it is. And all the stream will be going through there. So that means that it will have, my understanding is, instant transcoding. So when the event ends, it will immediately be there for view. So you could right into it. So if you miss it by 2 minutes, it'll be there for you, as opposed to last year, or this year actually, but last season, when if you were behind and the event ended, it just kind of cut you off. And then you had to wait for it to transcode, which usually wasn't too bad to rewatch it. Now that should not be an issue. So I'm really excited for the changes. The website has a new look, clearly, because I think it's not on Vimeo, so it's a whole new system. If you're having any issues, there's the support has been really good, because I know there are a few people that had issues, and they are still working on migrating over the Disc Golf Stream subscribers.
Okay.
So that if you are someone like me that had both, I have a Disc Golf Network, they're not going to need to migrate mine over. But if you were just a Disc Golf Stream person and you don't have Disc Golf Network yet, sit tight. I think they are still working on that. I can't imagine it will be too difficult, considering they just moved Disc Golf Network subscribers over. Now they just have to Disc Golf Stream, and it was the same platform. So it should be, and I'm going to put that in should because I'm not involved and I don't have to do anything about it. It shouldn't be that big of a hurdle. My guess is that they wanted to get this first batch done and work on it. So new Disc Golf Network platform. I'm excited to see kind of how it works out on the live side, how it works for Roku and Xbox and whatever other platforms that are available.
Yeah, I think clearly it was the number one most requested and/or feature was just people are excited about the idea of having that full DVR functionality of being able to pause it and then being able to restart it again. We've grown so accustomed to that within our streaming platforms over the last decade or whatever it's been now, and also people get that taste on the free day whenever it's been on YouTube, whether it used to be the last day or the first day, whatever the case was. People love that functionality within YouTube, and so DGN within the app having that functionality, I think is going to just excite the hell out of so many people. Understandably so. I can understand how that was a little bit frustrating, especially when one of the free offered days was giving it to you.
I haven't spoken to anybody behind the scenes about this, but I wonder, with the new platform, would it make sense for them to stop doing the free YouTube day and instead do a free DGN day? Like, can you put this out on DGN for free? And I don't know if it's possible, or if you have to have an account, or how that works, but just to maybe wean people off of YouTube and the chat and things like that, because this is still probably no live chat. but just kind of get people off of YouTube, because now that there's
because it creates a little additional, it creates additional layer, and it creates confusion, understandably.
It truly does. And if this player is as good as the recorded player that it is, I don't see why you couldn't or wouldn't.
Sure.
It could make sense. Now, I don't know if it's possible. That's something that I haven't spoken to the team about. Maybe I'll ask him Thursdays when we have a little meeting. But I haven't spoken to anybody. But we'll see.
Some other things that I think people are really going to like, from my understanding, is the more direct integration with the PDGA and the discounting, linking your PDGA account, all that type of stuff. That was a hurdle for customers, but it was also probably a customer service nightmare as well, because it wasn't so fluid or as clean as it could have been. And it sounds, by all accounts, what I've been hearing is that this more seamlessly integrates one with the other, and that's nothing but a huge win as well. So
that is.
Love to see that as well, and looking forward to seeing what people have to say and what people think about it, and hopefully everything goes as smoothly as it possibly can.
And as I said, I do fully expect a hiccup somewhere along the line.
Yes.
With something.
Likely something that obviously wasn't thought about, or that slipped through a crack somewhere of like, we don't believe our system, we do this and we do this. And then, when that process happens, it actually sometimes jacks up that.
Correct.
And we won't know it until it happens, no matter how much we've thought about it.
Yep. So, again, they will do testing, they will do live testing, so hopefully they will catch anything behind the scenes before it gets to the general public. But I just fully expect there to be something that everybody complains about that's going to be minor, because I think all the major concerns have been touched on. So I look forward to finding out the petty little things that people are going to complain about. All right, other DGPT news. We'll move on from that. And today it was announced the champions were revealed. I think yesterday was when Calvin, the Player of the Year, was announced. It might have been earlier today, but I lose track of time. But the 2023 winners for the Player of the Year, this is for DGPT. This is not PDGA. This is the DGPT ones.
I want to fight about something.
Oh, yeah. So wait. And in a couple weeks, we'll do the SmashBox Awards, and then there'll be some other podcast awards, and then there'll be maybe the Discord Awards and the Twitter Awards. Just wait, the awards are coming. But Calvin Heimberg wins the Ken Climo Player of the Year award for the DGPT, and Kristen Tatar wins the Elaine King Player of the Year award over on FPO side. Rookie of the Year for DGPT. I don't want to confuse anybody. Luke Taylor. And for FPO, Silva Saarinen. Most Improved Player of the Year for MPO goes to Cole Ridallen. And FPO is Allie Smith. Comeback Player of the Year, James Proctor. And Valerie Mondahano. And Valerie's the only one I don't know if of all of these that I'm not sure I'm behind for comeback player.
Really?
Yeah. Just because I feel like comeback player is someone who had a bad last season, and she didn't. She just was injured, so like the first half of her season, she wasn't available to play. So to me, like comeback. Now she made a great comeback
back from
the injury. So that's where it's like, what's a comeback? And I have no qualms with Val. I don't know what comeback player. I don't know the definition for comeback, and I think Proctor is a perfect example. Where last year, as we've always said, he was a great, phenomenal regional player. First year on tour, does not play well. This year, gets all his crap together, starts playing great all season long, is just a phenomenal player. So to me, that's a good comeback player of the year.
But what's the difference between that and most improved? By this, what you just said.
Well, most improved.
Does most improved have to be within that year, or is most improved mean from one year to the next?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because you could argue that most improved. Well, I mean, not nearly, because as we saw, Cole Ridallen didn't necessarily have a bad last year. He just improved a lot, as opposed to James Proctor, who I felt kind of had a bad. Either way, Valerie Mondahano, congratulations, comeback player of the year. She came back from a very serious injury, and we're very happy with her. how she played. She ended up winning, I think, an Elite Series event this year, or was it a silver event?
No, she won Idlewild.
She won Idlewild. So yeah, so awesome. Those are your Player of the Year awards. They also announced the All-Star, so we're going to see down in Florida before the Florida Open. Calvin Heimberg, Isaac Robinson, Gannonburg, Ricky Wysocki. That was your first card. I don't think that was a shock to anybody.
Well, no.
Those were already announced. You knew those.
Yeah, anyone that finishes in the top four, you're given those spots.
And Kristen Tatar, Missy Gannon, Owen Scoggins, Holland Hanley. That was your lead card. The second and third All-Star cards. Your second card, now this is a combination of fan vote, media vote, DGBT rank, and top 10s, wins, all the whatever. There's a lot of other stuff. Eagle McMahon takes this one with Matty O, Simon Lizotte, and Kyle Klein. So that's your second card for MPO. And your third card is AB, Cole Redallen, James Proctor, and Ezra Robinson. Over on the FPO side, you've got Ella Hansen, Kat Murch, Haley King, Katrina Allen on your second card. And on your third card, Allie Smith, Macy Veladiaz, Sarah Hokum, and Jessica Weiss. The funny thing is I'm looking at this. Yeah. What's
surprising you?
Well, nothing surprising me.
Okay.
But the second card for both MPO and FPO are just the next four competitors, 5, 6, 7, 8. On both MPO and FPO. You got Eagle, Matty-O, Simon, Kyle. That was your DGBT rank. That's what they came in as.
I was going to say, were they even...
Or was it just the...
yeah, those... I don't think we those weren't selected.
Oh, those
were given, so to speak. Or,
okay, was it just the third card that was selected then? Was that
I believe so.
Okay.
And I'm sure if you scroll up, there might even be an explainer there.
There might be. I'm not going to read that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how that worked.
Which is funny because the third card goes... DGBT rank is 9, 10, 11, 12, which was a little confusing for MPO. Well, that's not confusing, but for FPO, it goes 12, 10, 9, 11.
So it's the same for women, just in a different order.
So just based on kind of the percentage. So, and that comes down to media vote, fan vote, I think the third player. So there is your DGBT news for the day. You can go to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. They've got a whole announcement on it. Yeah. That's all the fun there is there.
Okay.
What else? Other news and notes, I will say there's some social media buzz happening right now with Nico Lacastro. And it's not the normal social media buzz he normally gets. Nico just announced he had a post a couple days ago of him signing some papers. A lot of people were assuming that maybe it was signing a new contract, an extension, maybe a new sponsor. But no. Nico announced about 2 hours ago that he just finally closed on 130 acres to build a championship-level disc golf course and pro shop in Houston, Texas. So, and he does a little tour of the land. It looks beautiful. So it looks like there's some bodies of water, it's some woods. He's talking about and Nico has been on our show before and shared this with us, like what his kind of dream was to have a championship level course, to have a beginner kind of friendly course. And I don't know if it's specific glow course, but he wants to have glow golf out there. Nico has always been all about the glow golf, which is awesome. So he is talking about, he thanked Lone Star for their support and the Houston disc golf scene for welcoming in. He says, thank you to all the people who have shown love along the way. Can't wait to share more about this venture. And then it's a who's who of people congratulating him in his comments. And that's Nico on Instagram sharing that.
Yeah. And again, this only dropped a few hours ago, so we don't have any of this other specific or answers at this exact moment. Some of the questions that immediately you would have to wonder, though, are, will he switch any of his playing focus, short or long term, and whether that's here in 2024 or just throughout the next 5 years, we'll use as an example. Will he find a hybrid in terms of playing and then staying back? Will this be
a Kale scenario?
Yeah, or will this be essentially managed by a team he puts together while he's largely still on the road? I mean, there's just obviously a lot of questions, and I'm sure those answers will come out as time moves forward. This just dropped right before the actual podcast, so I don't think we have had any of those answers just yet, but those are the things that I start thinking about. Then, in addition to all of that, does he have goals or aspirations of having a pro tour stop there? You look at, obviously, the Cactus Rock and the Paul
I'm sure
stuff.
I don't know
if
it's...
at Kale. You look at other people that are involved in a similar capacity, and there may or may not be this thing of, this burning desire of, I want people on my property, I want to showcase my course, or maybe he doesn't create a course that he warrants it. I mean, he says championship caliber, but
if you say, in my opinion, if you say championship caliber course, you are immediately have the thought of a tour stop at your place. That is,
or at least tour stop quality. Does it have to be a tour stop? That's my question.
I mean, it doesn't have.
What if you just have your really big, Nico LaCastro championships there?
You're right. It doesn't have to be a tour stop, so to speak, a DGP2 tour stop. But my guess is that if it's championship caliber, he probably wants a tour stop there.
Okay. I think that's a fair question. Yeah. That may or may not interest him, though. And like I said, there could be the Lone Star Championships that takes place there every year, or does he want to attract and have a U.S. Women's or a Pro Worlds get used as one of the sites for a Pro Worlds week or something like that? I mean, there's a lot of ways, like you said, you can interpret championship caliber course. I don't think there's any doubt of how good it's going to be. I'm just personally curious as to what are his aspirations in terms of who ultimately does come and play there under what potential event name.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing for nothing. Like, if we're going to use an example,
you have a whole podcast called Drop Zone. You could literally have him on and ask.
Yeah. Look at Eagles Crossing, though, right? Like, clearly, upwards of $5, $8, $10 million have been put into that place to create that entity. Currently not on the tour, and it may or may not ever be on the tour.
It might not be, but I don't know if that is their own doing or if that is a symptom of where it was built. We saw with the live broadcast attempt.
It's a difference in strategy is why it's not there.
Correct. Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, so to simplify it, like, it's their own doing largely. That's why I'm saying we don't know for sure what the agenda is, and I'll be interested to see how it all pans out.
Me too. It'll be good. Next time we have him on, or next time you see him, you can maybe do a quick little interview with him and ask him, Terry.
I'm guessing nothing for nothing. Not that I'm passing the buck. I'm guessing we're going to hear a lot more about this get released in the next few days. Like I said, it's just a product of it only coming out a couple hours ago that we don't have some of these answers. But nonetheless, congrats. If that wasn't clear enough,
it's awesome. We're very excited. It's fun to see that these pros are now able to go ahead and make their dreams come true and be like, hey, we saw it with Kale, like we said, and then now Paul and now Nico, like these people that are just developing their own course. Holland Hanley talked about on the Party podcast about how she's developing a course on her husband's land, or her husband's parents' land. It's this fiance, whatever. I'm not getting into the relationship, their partners. But how she's developing a course on their land.
The baskets just showed up.
Yep. And so it's really exciting.
Yeah, and I immediately think, and of course, Nico thanked Lone Star, which might be just a byproduct of being his sponsor. One, it's a fair question to ask when you're talking about 130 acre parcel of land in the Houston area. It's a fair question to say, is there a silent or not so silent partnership agreement or backing from a Lone Star? It's none of my business, so to speak, but you have to wonder, are there other partners or investors that are potentially involved? And that goes right back to what
possibly
I just said.
His uncle at Gateway.
I mean, who knows what the ultimate plans are and or obligations may or may not be.
Yeah, and he says in the Instagram post that he closed on 130 acres. To me, that leads me to believe that it was a purchase and not necessarily a lease. But I don't know, because we talked about Kale and the Preserve, how that's leased property. So I don't know. We'll figure it. Hopefully, we'll get more information as it comes out. Terry, I don't really have much more news. Was there any sponsorship news? I thought there was, for some reason, a little bit of sponsorship discussion as far as
Parker Welck avoiding my questions. Yep. So if you didn't want to read between the lines, I'll blurt them out.
He's playing the field.
Let me be very clear in 100% disclosure. I had no sponsorship conversations with him or really any player this weekend.
That's a failure on your part.
I hate even crossing some of those thresholds possibly for fear of I don't want people to think that I'm going to then run out and blab about it, which I wouldn't. But Parker and I didn't have any of those conversations. But by his answers and demeanor tonight, his straight up answers, and then what I read between the lines, it doesn't seem crazy to think that Parker may or may not have a new sponsor, or he could have an extension and continue his ways with Prodigy. Of course, all possibilities. If I'm a betting man, which I am,
you are.
I think we see a new sponsor. That nothing more than just a guess off of the interaction we had tonight.
Okay,
so don't play any poker, Parker, because
Terry's going to read
busting
you
your poker face right now.
All right. I don't think he tried to have a poker face. All right. Chandler Kramer announced that he's leaving Lone Star. We did see that. He did not make an announcement of where he is going yet.
He's feeding into, though, if you also follow him on Twitter, he's feeding into his own hype about, well, where's he going? What's he doing? I love it. It is
being your own hype
funny.
Man is the best thing to do.
It's like he's anti-trolling himself. I don't know.
I don't know if that's true. And then we saw that Jake Hebenheimer is leaving Latitude. Okay. So those are the announcements that we've heard so far.
Another breaking one tonight. Another breaking sponsorship announcement.
Yeah.
Fellow media and podcaster, also sponsored player, is no more. Dixon Jowers.
I did see that.
Not with Dynamic Discs.
And I'm gonna have to reach out to Dixon and just ask, what was it? Was it him leaving Dynamic Discs, or was it Dynamic Discs maybe like trimming down their sponsored players and leaving him behind? I don't know, because based on the post he made, it was very much hey, the sport is changing. It's being more corporate than what he particularly liked or loved about it. And I mean, we saw Miles Seaborn, who was a longtime Dynamic sponsor player, leave as well, and him and Dixon and Miles are really good buddies. So we'll reach out to Dixon and at some point and see if we can get anything. Erica Stinchcomb signed with Infinite Discs and ThoughtSpace for another year. So as the one of the two hot geese, honk.
Erica also celebrating a birthday recently. So
yeah.
Happy birthday to her.
Yeah, if you want to get some Two Hot Geese discs, I know they're out there. They made a social media post on that.
Yeah, so congratulations to anyone that's moving, and or as we know, plenty of people are moving and signing agreements right now, and then it just becomes a matter of which day can they ultimately
come on SmashBoxx and announce.
Yeah,
what day? What Tuesday do you want to announce?
And announce it. So, yeah, I guess we'll see how things go. Oh, sorry, reading some stuff off the board. I don't know if there's any other, like you said, sponsorship news. I don't know if there's a whole lot of other news that's jumping out at me. I should do a better job of keeping a journal or a ledger here.
I kind of been poking around. I've got little ideas there. So
yeah, I think we've covered pretty much all of the other the significant stuff that I feel like took place. We're seeing you can have no shortage. And some people love them and eat them up. Some people care. Some people don't. Clearly, the Vlogmas style daily vlogs are going to continue to pour in from a ton of your content creators or your players that then largely dip into the content creating during the slower part of the season. Of course, one of the most famed ones out there being Simon Lizotte. I know he's been doing stuff. I think Drew Gibson's doing some stuff. I think
Drew Gibson has an entirely new personality.
Yuli's doing some stuff, I believe. I apologize. I don't know. I'm just going to assume Eagle probably is as well. So, Yeah, very cool. So make sure you're checking all those out if that piques your interest. Oh, and there's a new podcast on the scene, Johnny.
Okay.
The Spicy Boy along with
Shanked.
doing some work out there, and I know they've got 2 episodes.
Yeah, we
in
talked
the
about
books.
this. An AM-focused podcast.
Yes, so keep plugging away. Big shout out to Spicy Boy, who was on the catch cam and then on solo cam this weekend, and I got some good time with him in this weekend. All right. You're right. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to touch on. So what we can do is we can close out the regular show. Then we could jump back into the after show. I've got a few other odds and ends we could talk about. If you guys have stuff to talk about, you could put it into the YouTube chat. That's your best place. And we can break it down, maybe provide a little additional insight or not, or we could just talk like idiots.
What we usually do.
That anyway.
Yeah, we're going to do that no matter what. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Okay. I'll save it. Something else just popped up that made me think that could work for the after show. For podcast 484, as we wind down 2023, just a few left here in the season. We've got to thank our very special guest in Parker Welck.
Disc Goat.
Go find him on the socials. Make sure you follow along, maybe even watch him play or play some.
Wake my son up and make him
games.
Beat him at some Fortnite.
Beat the disco. Beat him.
Come on, man.
Get it, Mason. Kick his ass, Mason. Yeah. That's what
I doubt that would happen.
I don't know. It would be a good idea. For Parker, Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. That's been 484. We're going to take a very short break. Then we'll be back with the after show. We'll see you then. You step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 484's After Show. It's the after show. Here's what I'm going to start out with. As you were clicking on a button as we were closing out the regular show, and I thought about it on the way here tonight.
Okay.
I can get over, I don't have to be that grumpy old man. I can get over the whole, year in review, all the Spotifys, all the other things that are telling you.
They're very popular.
They're very popular, and I get that.
I don't mind them, actually.
I don't.
I'm not going to grumpy old man them.
Yeah, I don't care, but that's great. What does irk me a little, and I can't be original in thinking this, I'm sure.
Usually we're not.
Why the hell are we seeing that in the first week of December?
I agree with that.
I feel
mean, I guess if you set a standard from December 1st to December 1st,
that becomes your year in
review.
That becomes
your year in review.
Which would make sense if that's what they do. I'm guessing they have to, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
because we still have 3 weeks left in the year.
Yeah. And these started popping off 2-ish weeks ago already.
Oh yeah, Spotify's was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, how many hundreds of hours or minutes you've streamed of any given service or of any given song and various artists and things you've listened to? I just think but my year in review it's not here. There's the whole month of December.
A 12th of your
Yeah. Anyway, and I'm sure in some fine print it says exactly what you're saying, which would make perfect sense. Somebody also challenged me and said I was an idiot or crazy, or how do I not listen to music? I said I literally don't even have a Spotify account. I listen to 0 minutes of Spotify this year. And they're like, how do you listen to music? Good question. I really don't. The only time I listen to music is if there's nothing else I want to listen to in the car that's played on my YouTube Premium, that's played that way. The only time I'll listen to music is then, and at that point, it's exclusively 90s on 9 from my Sirius radio. That's the only time and that's not, and I'm not on the phone or trying to catch up on listening to any other kind of news or current events. So the amount of music that gets played is negligible.
And I'm actually really worried in general. I don't have a Spotify account. I don't have whatever.
Well, how do you listen?
Literally, well, because I am now an old man who's completely burnt into everything that he wants to listen to.
You listen to CDs?
No, I listened to the CDs that were burnt onto my phone years ago. I still have on my phone hard downloaded. So like there's no Spotify about, I don't know, a couple thousand songs from all my CD collection. They're just on here, like you would have,
like MP3s,
like MP3s.
Okay.
And so I plug it into my car. I listen to that. I listen to podcasts. I listen to, which is actually going to kind of bother me because I think I heard that Apple is going to stop developing iTunes. And if that happens, I don't know how I get music on my phone. I need to research it because
shitty streaming service.
Well, I don't want a shitty streaming service. I want the hard, like,
you want to listen to what you want to listen to.
I want to listen to what I want to listen to.
You want to listen to House of Pain, jump around. You want to be able to just click on it, and it for certain
that's right.
is there.
Because I have, not only on my phone, I have like live concerts, things that were, bootlegged.
That you pirated, yeah.
Bootlegged is the term, Terry.
Okay.
In music, it's bootlegged.
Okay.
Bootlegged music from different live shows and concerts and things like that they're just not available on Spotify. They're not available anywhere. And if things like that go away, I don't know how I continue to listen to some of those things. Or there's songs that, like I said, that were bootlegged that don't even exist. There's a couple songs actually that my wife and I played at our wedding that are not available on any CD. They were never released. We literally heard one or two of these songs at a concert, and I found the bootleg of the concert, downloaded it, and actually took time to like boost up the audio and make it sound a little bit better. How does something like that happen? You just don't. That goes away
until you just take that audio file today. Mm-hmm. Either, well, I guess I was thinking you have to put it some kind of visual to it. You don't. Take that audio file and bring it into like an Adobe Premiere, some video editing software, and then just turn it into some form of video.
So, and then upload it to my private YouTube?
Yeah, or something like that.
Sure.
I mean that would be a really like archaic workaround, but it would
work
serve the purpose of what you want to do.
It would. So,
or you would then, even if it's not to your YouTube, you could just save off all those video, quote unquote, video files to because your phone is going to play .movs
forever.
Ever. Your phone's going to play MP4s forever. So
and again, I'm 120 years old. I still like it when a band, one of my favorite artists, literally yesterday announced he's releasing a new CD or new album.
New CD.
I call him. He probably will. Who knows? That's probably retro these days. A new album. Dropped one song from it. Says the album will come out in 2024. You can get it, on streaming services, or you can download it from Bandcamp. I always download them from Bandcamp. If I want an album, I buy the album, and I'm old that way. But I've also seen, look at any service suddenly. Look at a ton of streaming services that you just can't stream particular TV shows.
Oh, sure. They're not available. They have them on there for a certain period of time,
and then they're gone.
They take them off.
If you, we'll just say, oh God, what was it? It was originally, there's the original
like
version.
Seinfeld was on certain.
Yep. But I think of like Scrubs because that had so much music on it.
Sure.
That you just can't, a lot of them they can't get licenses for anymore. You can't stream it. So they will pull out like specific songs or things like that you just can't get them anymore, or you can't find them anywhere. I don't want that to happen to my music. If some band, if I was a huge Swiftie and suddenly Taylor Swift said, I'm pulling all my music from Spotify because they made me mad, which she has threatened to do before. Suddenly what? I can't listen to Taylor Swift stuff? And granted, I've never listened to Taylor Swift. Sorry, Hannah Macbeth. But in general, like I don't want that risk. So I like to download. I'm not against Spotify. I have no problem with an account. I listen to Pandora sometimes because you find I type in 90s alternative rock, I hit play, it plays every song I ever heard growing up. It's great. I just have, I'm a very, I have it.
You got to own it.
I kind of got to own it. And that's just how I feel about a lot of music. Plus, in general, much like our Patreon, I feel like when I buy the downloads, it supports the artist better. So, as opposed to Spotify, which, they get 0.000003 cents or whatever per every stream. When I buy a $10 album, I might only listen to that album 20 to 30 times in my life. But I got no problem if they get $6 or $7 then. Like, that's just kind of how I want. It's how I want to support the people.
Yeah, you only like to rip off the big guys. I know.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So I know, and maybe I'm worried that an Apple will come out with something and say, hey, you can still plug your phone, and here's an app that'll let you upload all your music. That's great. If that's the case, I haven't heard of that, but I also haven't heard when they're going to get rid of iTunes for Windows and stuff. So
you just got to buy a special Apple-based.
It's probably $300 or something.
Dongle.
Yeah, special dongle.
You have to use something like that anyway. All of this I could wrap up too. Maybe it was just a headline, and clearly I didn't know any of the specifics, but what crossed my feed today was a clip of, along these lines, was Snoop saying something about how Spotify let him know that he had 8 billion streams. I'm going to assume that was just in the year. 8 billion streams for him or of him, and that translated to $45,000, which is interesting because that sounds like peanuts. You got to think.
Oh my God! Yeah.
You got to think about how many people have more streams than what he did, and even if it's not a leader, it doesn't matter. 8 billion times to then only here it's 40 translates to $45,000. And I know this is all part of the, this gets argued within the whole. What's the word I'm looking for? Not the protest. Oh my gosh, strike, and SAG and all this other stuff. It's all things that are way beyond the scope of what you and I personally have to deal with or worry about, but it is interesting.
Yeah, Taylor Swift had 26 billion streams of her songs in 2023. So in theory,
well, so far,
yeah.
And I won't claim to know how any of that works, but
yeah, there's all sorts of licensing between songwriters and singers and artists and labels that I don't even fathom. So anyway, that's just that's my goofy take on the streaming service. And I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I also listen to a lot of music.
That would be, well, I guess we've seen a few of the fun little social media things that the disc golf pro tour has done throughout the last couple of years of, when they go to interview or talk to a player, and I think of specifically Taylor Swift, actually, where I think they had asked a bunch of our players, like, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song? And some who, I think Isaac Robinson maybe knew one or something like that. He guessed one. Paul McBeth knew one or two.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then Calvin Heimberg didn't. And I love seeing all those kind of fun interactions.
I understand Kelvin, kind of. I don't understand how you can't name a single Taylor Swift song. Like, Shake It Off. Like that, literally, I can only name Shake It Off. And I think I heard someone say, I heard Alden Harris say the Love Song.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
So good. I can name 2 Taylor Swift songs. I'm sure maybe I could name a few more if I heard them. But that is...
Well, 2's not that far from 0, if you think about it that way.
But Shake It Off was a huge hit.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but at the same, I think I would have felt that way more 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
not just because of her, but I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
But now I've come to the realization that when something is not in your at all in your lane, in your bubble or in your lane whatsoever, how everything else can be so wildly blocked off completely, indefinitely, entirely. I can also understand that as well.
Just that music, and specifically her permeate the scene. It's not like like people that say, "Oh, I've never seen Game of Thrones." Like, okay, cool. Maybe you're not into sci-fi. Maybe you don't have HBO or whatever. You know, it's crazy.
No,
to me.
You don't have to sell me on being a Swiftie. I mean, I'm all on board. All right. Yeah, of course. Now I can't think of like the other 6 things that I was thinking about over the last day or two.
I posted this on our Discord, and I showed you just a few minutes ago. This weekend, I crushed my fingers. You can see that they're purple if you're watching the YouTube. In a garage door.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's real pretty. They kind of hurt. I can only bend my fingers this much right now, or whatever. But I went outside this weekend to put a ladder away that had been sitting out behind my shed for a while, and I didn't want it to sit through the winter. Went out there, the ladder was gone. I'm like, uh-oh, did someone sneak onto into my fence and take it? And I was like, oh, well, maybe my wife actually put it away, which I wouldn't have expected. I opened the garage door halfway, saw the ladder in there, and then went to immediately close it, not realizing that just barely the tips of my fingers got caught between
the tips?
Just the tips of the panels of the garage door when it came down. Crunched them really good. A lot of 4, 5, 6, 8, 10-letter words that I don't think even exist anymore or should ever be said out loud. I'm kind of shocked that the neighbors didn't come over because I screamed. And I didn't cry, which is kind of shocking. But I thought maybe I broke my fingers or maybe I lost a finger or something when that first happened. I had to double check. I thought for sure I was going to lose a fingernail. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't think so. The way I pinched them, but they seem to have stopped swelling, but they hurt like a son of a gun.
You should just suck on them.
Oh, no, I don't think so. It's hard to type right now, honestly, because I can't feel like the tips of them a little bit. They're just because they're bruised and swollen. It was not a pleasurable moment. I'm very lucky it's my left hand and not my right hand, which I use obviously for writing, more typing, doing anything else you do with your right hand. I don't want to learn how to do it with my eating, anything like that. So that was my weekend. That was not pleasurable. That was on Sunday eve, maybe Sunday afternoon, kind of like around 1 or 2 o'clock. Thought about going to the emergency room, but I kind of checked them out and I'm like, they can bend them. They don't feel broken, but I don't even know how the tips of your fingers. And then I thought, if you did fracture or break the tips of your fingers, what are they going to do? Like, how do you fix that? You just wrap it up? Because I wrapped it up at first because I wanted it the first night when I wanted to sleep. I thought, well, they still kind of were in more pain. I wrapped them up and then I was like, I kind of kept them above my head or under the pillow. Last night I found myself sleeping right on my hand. I was like, oh, geez, I guess they don't really hurt as much anymore. They hurt when I put pressure on them. That's for sure. Still. But that was just a flat out big fat dumb move by me. Lucky me.
One of the many highlights. I will admit I had a great weekend. Thanks to, again, so many different people, including the opportunity to go out to dinner with Pete Ulibarri and with Pete's mother, also known as Paul Ulibarri's mom, Pat Perman. She had graciously picked me up from the airport, and the next thing you know, we went to a place to get some pizza. Pomo, which it turns out to be one of Ricky's favorite pizza places in Scottsdale. Just phenomenal company throughout. And it's funny that I got such an opportunity to hang out with so many different people throughout the entire weekend. Also, I can give a high recommendation for Fate Brewing. I've now been there a couple of times in the area. Yeah, they have some incredible food and beverages, and I've had the pleasure of being there now a couple different times too. That was on another day. Sunday night, after the tournament, I was able to get my editing on and get second round largely put together, get that edited, and then had time to get picked up by none other than Spicy Boy and his significant other, Jillian, and went to the Mesa, I don't know if it's the Mesa Center for the Arts or something of that, Mesa Performing Arts Center, something of that nature, whatever the name is. And I had the pleasure of seeing Jimmy Carr.
Oh, nice.
The British comedian. I don't know how many of you are familiar with him. He's had a number of specials. I wonder how many they're different.
So I don't
know how many are on Netflix.
You third wheeled that.
Yes.
On their date.
To be fair, how it all initially unfolded is about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he posted to his Facebook saying, "Hey, my girlfriend, my awesome girlfriend, just got me these tickets. We're going to go see Jimmy Carr. I'm so excited." And I remember in my head thinking, "Oh, that is pretty awesome. Jimmy Carr, I find him pretty funny." I started doing some research on where he was. He's on a worldwide tour. I thought, well, that's too bad he's in Arizona. That's great. Then fast forward to the idea of the Big Arm Challenge happening and me possibly coming out to cover it. Then fast forward into the idea of filming the Big Arm Challenge and then still getting to go to that show at night. He ultimately had 2 shows. He had, I think, a 7 o'clock and then a 9:30 show. And there were some tickets available for the 9:30 show, which is what they had already booked anyway. And so although I didn't sit next to them, I actually ended up sitting only like 3 rows or 5 rows back from them. I was able to get a ticket and then join them. And I offered to drive myself and go and pretend like they were on their own date, and they didn't even have to pretend like they knew me. But no, we ended up going to Mellow Mushroom for pizza and other food beforehand. If you haven't been to a Mellow Mushroom somewhere in the country, do yourself a favor and go there as well. Delicious. Miles Parkhill, a guest from a few weeks ago, is who turned me on to Mellow Mushroom.
Do we have any in Milwaukee?
We don't have any in Wisconsin.
I have not heard of them.
But, really? You've never been to one? Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, you need to get to a Mellow Mushroom. They are, every time I've never been disappointed.
I've
never been disappointed. So we went there and then ultimately went to Jimmy Carr. And I'm just going to say, he was hilarious. I mean, obviously, I knew exactly what he was about, what he was like as a comedian. He was just flat out hilarious. And interestingly enough, and I don't know if this happens, I've never seen it really happen this way before, no opener at all.
Oh, okay.
Like he came on stage and went for a full 90, almost 100 minutes, but a full 90 minutes. No opener, nothing to... Yeah, no warm-up, so to speak, or anyone before him, so therefore no MC or anything of that nature. Came on stage, 90 full minutes and then some, and that was it. It was awesome. So I don't know if any of you are Jimmy Carr fans. Some of you are, I'm sure, don't even have any idea who he is, and that's fine too. I think he's a fairly well-known comedian. Again, the fact that he's got a number of specials and has been around for quite some time. Pretty, I don't know if raunchy's the word. I don't know if I would use raunchy. What did they say in his bio?
I don't know.
James Anthony Patrick Carr? What? Presenter, actor, known for his deadpan delivery, so on and so forth. I don't know. I think he's hilarious. He probably goes in as like maybe the 2nd or 3rd best live comedic show I've ever seen. That's
good.
Absolutely phenomenal. So if you ever get a chance, check them out. The one thing they do before the show, and I'll spread this tidbit, is they put up on screen and it says on this large screen before everything gets started, as people are just kind of filing in, they say, hey, if you have a shout out or a birthday or a story or a joke or anything you'd like to share, text it to this number. And I'm thinking, this is some kind of stupid setup, or this is some kind of, like, you're just begging for some kind of trouble.
Just something for him to make fun of, or just play off of.
Or just even, like, how legit it is. I don't know why. I didn't have anything anyway. I steered clear of it. Well, Spicy Boy decided to text to the number. At the very end of the show, he goes through, hey, here's some of the things. Some of these are from previous shows. Some of them were for just flat out jokes. And then a lot of them were based on what people text in that night. Hey, we're here because my brother just graduated college. Can you shout him out? Or some people would text in their own joke, some of which were also very, very funny. And Spicy Boy decided to text in to say something along the lines of, there's a well-known disc golf journalist here in the crowd, and he's a big fan, and his name's Terry Miller. And it would really make his night if you roasted disc golf, which is fine. So Jimmy, it's all up on screen. He reads that off, and then he goes on to then kind of make fun of disc golf. A few people, he had to confirm what it was. And he, of course, slightly ripped on it and ripped on disc golfers and whatnot. And that was pretty much it. Did it make my night? No. but it was I guess humorous. So Spicy Boy, thanks for I guess kind of putting me on the spot. I will admit, when he read it, like some of the other people that he was reading, I thought he was going to call out and say, where are you? Who is this?
Oh, like try to.
And he didn't. He didn't. And I was okay with it. I didn't like jump up and, hey guys, it's me he's talking about. I just sat there and took it. And he ended up interacting with somebody in the very front row. And that was about it. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of famous now. Jimmy Carr said my name.
Clearly.
Talked about disc golf.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't chalk it up as any of that. But all in all, last note on that, with fees, I want to say my ticket was like $41.50.
That ain't bad at all.
Insanely reasonable. I've been to dozens, maybe even 100 nightclubs or comedy clubs in total. Most of them range anywhere from $5 to $10 to $20-ish to get in, all of which then will come with a two-drink minimum or two-item minimum, whether that's a Coke or a beer or a pair of hot dogs. I don't know. They all come with a two-item minimum, usually a two-drink minimum. Usually the drinks are, of course, absurdly priced.
$12-15.
Yeah, for a can of Corona, they'll charge you $12 for. So the fact that I went to this in this really nice auditorium theater like atmosphere, and it would, with even the service charge, I want to say it was $41.50. So insanely reasonable as well. I don't know if the earlier show was any more or not, but nonetheless.
Yeah, when 2 weeks ago when we went to go see
Pete Lee,
there was like a special that we got that it was, I think each person paid like $50 for your ticket, but then you got a $200 food credit. So more or less, you know.
Wow, per person?
No, the $200 was for the table because you.
Okay.
Yes. Like Jesus, how am I putting on $200?
Can I get 9 pretzels to go?
Yeah. So it was 50 because there was a table for 4.
Okay.
And then you also I think we each paid $50 and we got a $200 credit. So that went for food or alcohol. So
okay.
It was like a dinner credit. So that's what we had done. That's one of the reasons why we did it. And we ended up going just barely over our bill by like $12, I think.
And then you stiffed them and walked
Oh
out.
God, yeah, no tip either.
Yeah.
Duh. I'm just tipping on the $12. That's all I'm spending, right?
Yeah, right.
Here's a $1 or $2 tip.
Perfect.
No, Terry, I'm not that kind of person. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. That was at the Improv. Have you been to the Improv?
I haven't. That's not far from.
No, it's
where
like
I live. Yeah,
it's
in the corners as they call it.
Yeah, over in Hales Corners, kind of between where you and I live, a little closer to you, but yeah, definitely. It was nice. I didn't even realize it was there until my wife was like, "Oh yeah, we're going." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that just opened in the last couple of years as part of that development over there. Question in from the board was, Terry, do you use the same airline for all your work travel? Oh, don't even get me started on airlines, even though there's a funny story to this. Prior to, with the exception of when I go to Bend, I almost exclusively always use, in every possible scenario that I can, I fly Southwest. Cheap. It's cheap. I don't understand what most people hate about it. To me, that's ridiculous, but whatever. I've always loved Southwest. I could literally give you an hour-long dissertation and podcast / whatever presentation on why Southwest I think is great. I do use them. However, with traveling to Bend, Southwest does not go into Bend. That's their downfall. To be fair, technically it's Redmond. I'm sorry, not into Bend. The Redmond Airport in Oregon is not that big in the first place. In fact, they don't even have like jet bridges. You're walking in and off every single plane, and Southwest does not go into Bend. And so with that, after some consistency of going out to Bend, I then ultimately started being loyal to United Airlines. And so now I'm really happy to say that with some really slick maneuvering and some really budget-friendly, conscious decisions and looking and whatnot, I am both on United and have earned some status with United and now also with Southwest. So there's your long-winded answer to Do I use one exclusively? I still use Southwest primarily whenever I can. Funny enough, I posted that I was with this last trip this week. I'd get A-list status for next year, which is I'm a big fan of earning for 2024, which I then got. Paul Macbeth messaged me and said, I'm actually using Southwest for my first time tomorrow. He's got some secret. He's going to Texas for something tomorrow, folks. So if you want to, I don't know, investigate.
Stalk him? Where exactly in Texas?
I can't say that. But
No,
he says
tell
he's
me
going to
right
Texas for a short trip, and he lives in the Jacksonville area, so he's taking Southwest for his first time ever. I said, this isn't for you. It's for us broke people. Is what I wrote him. And but he said it's a direct flight, and so he's going to get his first Southwest experience. So
I mean, just tell him check in early.
Yeah.
That's the key. Check in early.
So yeah, that's my story in terms of who I like to use. Southwest is great because they give you free bags. Your first 2 bags your 2 bags are free, up to 50 pounds. You can then still have a carry-on, and then still have
Like
a
a computer
backpack
bag
or a handbag of sorts.
That usually is enough to get you through a week.
This weekend I had all 4 bags, and it was only like a 3 or 4 day trip.
Yeah.
I brought Frisbees to sell, which I never got around to doing. So, okay. Hopefully we answered that question. That means you get priority seating each trip on Southwest.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
Paul's,
I mean,
maybe Paul's going to help Nico design the course. Who knows? Him and Nico have always been buddies.
That could be. I don't think it is. It's a different city that he's going to, but anything is possible, I suppose. I guess we'll find out. Perspective ahead. Oh, see, Eric on the board talking about Mellow Mushroom in Braden, Florida is good. Yeah, I really think it's just a really, really solid chain. That's not too big, but I do feel like it's a really solid chain. And my favorites there have always been their pizza, but it seems like everything on the menu is really good.
Okay.
All right. Anything on the kind of on a tangent to disc golf that's been significant or that has popped up that it wasn't for the regular show that you can think of?
Not that I can think of. It's again, we're getting into, today's the 12th. Next week, obviously, will be the 19th. We're getting very close to Christmas. So then we're gonna have it on the 20th. Yeah, we might have to skip that Tuesday on the 26th. I'll figure it out. I don't know what the deal is.
Oh, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
A healthy discussion that had no permanent solutions or answers, but there was a healthy discussion, vibrant.
About refunds? You're talking about that?
Yeah, that's one. I'll quickly touch on the one I was just initially thinking of. Sunday night, there was also a discussion about basket. I'm going to say basket sizing. The discussion largely talked about if baskets, and I know this isn't like new by any means, the sweeping conversation of basket sizes, but if baskets are smaller in any capacity, vertically, horizontally, or both, if baskets became smaller, but maybe caught really well, catch as good or better than they do now, but there's just a smaller spot.
Not possible, but okay.
If they were, do you feel like that puts a higher premium then on all the other facets of the game? I mean, does your drive becomes more important inherently, your approach, because you need to get closer?
Yeah.
Do you feel like our professionals, and I'm talking our top tier elite disc golf pro tour type professionals, do you feel like they could or should be subject to making it tougher in that sense? I think a smaller basket. Like, do you just at face value, do you like that idea of them playing to a smaller basket to make the game a little bit harder?
I'm not opposed to it. I'm truly not. And here's what I think. I've thought about this. The basket itself. You would make the chains a little bit smaller and the basket itself, the bucket, a little bit bigger. Because I've played on marksman, smaller things. There's a lot of times you hit what is a relatively good putt, but because the the contraption is smaller, you tend to hit the pole more, especially if you're dead center in the middle. And the kickback is a little bit greater, so it feels like they kick out more often. So I think if the basket itself was a little bit bigger, that kickback would fall into the bucket more. Because I do think that if you were to hit something like a marksman dead center like that, it should go in more often than it shouldn't. Because there isn't, unlike our...
You could putt lighter.
You can.
And hit center chain.
You can. Unlike our current basket, which I think you've got a lot more space to play with left or right, to hit chains and not center pole and have it stick. With those, you don't get that. And yes, you could putt much lighter. I would never say that. I do think that there is room to just have the basket a little bit bigger, add 3 inches, and then if you lower the chain contraption, if you shrink that, that is maybe what I would like to see. If that now on the actual conversation of should they do it, I'm okay with that. I don't really care. I know there's a big the conversation always goes to, well, gosh, then everybody has to change baskets, and it's like, no, you don't. There's no reason why every course would need to change baskets. You could change baskets if you want to play on exactly what the pros play on, but I don't think you need to. There's no reason why a consumer basket can't be a better or easier catching than a top pro basket. That's, top golfers have different clubs and balls than a lot of your standard golfers. So that's kind of how I feel.
And I guess maybe even to further your point there, in theory, if there was a pro tour event taking place, I'll just say in Waco, and a smaller basket, a tougher pro style basket was to be used for the tournament and all the tournaments, what if those are all just in the ground 7 days prior to the tournament, right? The pro tour is already jumping ahead to each event to prep for the next event. And so when they get to a Waco, and the last event is still, is happening the weekend before, but they get to Waco to start prepping and setting things up for the course. They then take out the 18 baskets that are there, in the obviously in the pin locations, but they take out the 18 baskets and then have a basket that then adequately fits into those mounting sleeves. And the Pro Tour just has 1 or 2 of those sets of baskets, and they're bringing them and taking them out every single event.
I'm totally cool with that. I am fine if we get to a point, and again, every other sport is looking for better scoring. Offense is the thing that most sports are looking for. Baseball is, shortening the pitch clock to help, shorten the games in general, but also it does give the hitters an advantage because the pitcher doesn't have as much time to sit and warm up, whatever. Basketball as well. They look at the lack of traveling calls, look at the lack of, it's just an offensive game. The NFL, same thing. You can't, look at all the offensive penalties they're doing. You hitting the quarterback, defensive pass interference. Everybody's trying to make their sport score better and more and improve it for offense, because that seems to be what people want. People don't want to see a Las Vegas versus Vikings game of 3-0 was what we had this weekend. Nobody wants that. Nobody. It's ugly. Even if it was a really good defensive battle, nobody wants to go into a game practically unless it's a 0-0 game. Or as I've always said, if you're going to a baseball game and you get a no-hitter, awesome. If you get a 1-hit versus 2-hit game, that's a boring game.
Well, yeah.
And granted, you could have been watching some of the greatest pitching. It doesn't matter.
Pitching isn't as sexy
exciting
as home runs.
It's not as exciting as hits and home runs. So are we looking to decrease the quote-unquote offense and scoring of our game? Maybe. Do we want it to be harder? Well, I don't have an answer. Honestly, I'm just asking. I don't have an answer.
Well, and
I don't think there's a right or wrong.
The perspective in which I heard this weekend from one of our top pros was that is also a way to kind of make things tougher, change up the scoring, but also without adding. You're not adding to a course. You don't need, because we've seen, especially in our careers, we've seen courses go from that 5,000 to 6,000. 8,000 was wild at one point, then 9 or 10,000 kind of became crazy.
Now we're hitting 10 to 11.
Now we're hitting 10, 11, 12,000. The point is, at a certain, just like they're going to, regulate or govern the ball size, or not the ball size, the distance in which a golf ball can travel. This is kind of in a similar sense. This will have a similar effect is, hey, if we make that much more emphasis on driving and putting, on driving and approaching, and you're not just able to you're not Ricky or Gannon Burr and cashing in everything you see from 60 feet and in, and there's that much more emphasis on getting it close. That way you're not shortening the course clearly, but you're having that effect, and maybe making things more competitive.
Maybe. I mean, I think we're pretty competitive right now. I think we have a lot of players who can get up and win. I don't know if, again, hampering somebody who is good at like 60-foot putts is the right move or not. I don't know. Again, I don't have the answers on this one. It's
Tim. That's not so. Tim chimes in on the board and says Aaron Gossage wants bigger baskets. Quite the contrary. In fact, it's funny you sniffed this one out, so maybe there's been other conversations. But this was a very hearty discussion that largely was with Aaron Gossage, Ezra Aderhold, and definitely Anthony Barella. We brought Ricky into it at one point. This was a very heated, and not in a bad way, but a very heated, spirited conversation that took place. And Aaron was talking about ways to make the courses tougher without making them necessarily longer. And it's not that he has a problem with the length. He feels like
there's only
if
so
I
much.
understand it, there's only so much land and only so much we're going to be able to expand. And if we want to quote unquote tiger proof or keep any constraints on the course, like you can't always just take a 10,000 foot course and turn it into a 13,000 foot course. Like there's just sometimes just the physical restraints of being able to do that. This way, it keeps you on the same course, largely hitting a lot of the same lines and doing a lot of the same things, just more of a premium on the actual drive and the actual approach. But like you said, I feel like kind of somewhat punishing somebody that can rein him in from 60 feet. They're still going to be a good long range putter. They're still going to make more, but is their advantage going to be significantly decreased where it doesn't almost even seem fair? If Ricky, we'll just say, makes 10 putts from outside of 55 feet in a whole weekend, and somebody typically only makes one from outside 55, you make the basket smaller, you make the putt harder to make.
Now Ricky's only making 5 of those.
That's the question.
Just play pretend.
Does he go all the way down to 2 or 3? Or and that other person still makes the 1 or 0? Like, how much does it compress? Again, these are all things we don't know what will happen. I guess it depends on the size of the basket. And are you punishing anyone or not in doing so? Because we all know the better putter's always going to be a better putter, probably no matter what the range is.
I don't
to a certain degree.
No, I don't know. I think that we'll just play
Depends
pretend.
on how the basket's shaped, right?
Depends on how the basket, because Ricky, as we know, is a very direct and hard putter. Always has been. For better or worse, we've seen Ricky hit some phenomenal long putts, but we've also watched him walk up to 22 footers, hit him dead center hard, and they come back in his face. Is that really what we want to see? Like, Rick, does that penalizing, are we taking away a skill in order to make the scoring more difficult? Are we taking away the putting skill? Should again, everyone can putt lighter. Does Ricky have to learn now to do more of a loft putt instead of a more direct putt? I've said this about baskets in general, that I think you need to, and people don't like to hear it, but the way our sport is now, you need to play to the basket. If you know a basket has a weak spot, don't aim there. Yeah. And some people are like, well, I'm just going to aim at the middle no matter what. I'm like, cool. Then when you get one that spits, you can't complain. Yeah. If you have a basket like I had play pretended, you need to have more of a, I'm going to say, a Paul McBeth style putt that kind of comes up and comes down. It's not a direct putt. It needs to be softer. It needs to be coming down as you come in as opposed to straight at it. So I don't know, does that stop the aggressiveness from 40 feet? When
you have a 22-foot comeback and now your knees are knocking a little bit more.
I mean,
22-footers are tap-ins.
Yeah, is that better for our sport to watch someone like an Anthony Barella, who we know has had issues with the power of his putts, missing a putt and going 40 past it and then hitting a 40-foot comeback?
Mm-hmm.
So now suddenly does AB be like, well, I'm just going to kind of give it a little up and down and loft it in? Are we? I don't know. I think I still would love to see the Pro Tour do this for one event. Just pick an event, I don't care what it is, and say, guys, this is a tester event. It still counts towards Pro Tour. It still counts. We still want you here. But we are going to play to these modified baskets. I want to see what the results are. Let me see the percentages. Where are Circle 1 putts? Are they where we're normally seeing like Andrew Marweed hit 90% Circle 1? Does that drop down to 82%? Because
and is that 82% though still leading?
Exactly.
The field,
that's what
right?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Does everybody move down? Do we see a big shift? And that's going to be really hard to tell on one event because anyone can have a hot event.
Sure.
Statistically, you'd want a bigger sample size, but I would love to see him try. I'd love to see one event where that happens, or maybe make it an annual event.
Yeah, some kind of
the
almost exhibition, but yet have. Who knows?
And the problem is, if you make it an exhibition,
Then
half the pros
they
won't
won't
show
go.
up because it almost needs to be an event that counts. So does that happen at a Ledgestone? No, not really. But does it happen at an Idlewild? Does it happen at Jonesboro?
USDGC?
Yeah,
They try a lot of different stuff.
They do.
Food for thought. All right. Another quick point of conversation. Last week, there was a post. Someone was talking about being injured and then reaching out to the tournament director. And the tournament director, by my understanding, essentially saying, okay, here's what the PDGA refund policy states, and here's what, therefore, I'm going to refund you. Basically, we're going to follow the refund policy to a T or letter, by the letter of the law. Here's what the refund policy states that we can do, and this is what we're going to do. And the player in particular didn't care for that and said, I'm injured. Essentially, I'm injured and I'm a pro, and it's 4 or 5 days out, I believe. I think it's ridiculous I don't get a full refund. And of course, a healthy discussion also ensued from that little discourse. I feel like I have you have
a good perspective because
I have a seasoned perspective in that I've run a couple hundred tournaments. I've also been the player at even 300 or 400 other tournaments. I've had a lot of those different opportunities. And so I can certainly understand, valid, what I feel like are valid points, 1 through 10. And I can, on the other side, I can understand or propose valid points 1 through 20 on the other side. And you could go from there. Some of the questions that I brought up is, for me personally, is the idea of, especially pros. And I had a pro at my event a few weeks ago. It was literally just before tee off, 2 minutes before tee off. And it was discovered that this pro thought the tournament was on the next day.
Oof, rough.
And told one of the card mates that he was supposed to be with. They got a hold of him, said, hey, where you at? You're on our card. We start in like 3 minutes. Where are you? And he's like, oh, shit. I thought I played tomorrow. Complete confusion to the situation, obviously. People make plenty of honest mistakes. I certainly believe him in the case that he, for some reason, thought he played the next day. Okay, honest mistake. He's playing in the pro division. Does he deserve a refund?
No. Like, as the tournament director, that's, I feel, up to you. But I would like to see that be consistent. But every scenario is different as well. If someone doesn't show, calls you, 5 holes in and is like, oh man, sorry, I got drunk last night. I just couldn't get up this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get my money back? I don't necessarily think that is a good reason. In general, no, I don't believe they deserve their money back. I think as a TD, you could if you want to. I've got no problem with that.
And again, this is intentionally supposed to be a bunch of what if scenarios and hypotheticals, but is that fair to the rest of the field?
No, because they came expecting a full field with a specific purse size due to that full field. Because if someone signs up for an event, and we have a friend that does that, he'll look at the size of the field before he signs up and be like, there's only 3 guys there. I'm not going to bother signing up for that. Now, it's a little different these days because there's less of that. Now it's more of a race to get signed up, and a lot of TDs are setting aside specific number of spots for divisions. But if I'm in a 4-person field and suddenly 2 people decide not to show up on the final day, let's just say you're MP50, and
you mean on the first round?
Just at all. Like if you're in if 2 people don't show up before the first round, they call, hey, I'd like my money back. Cool. My purse just went from, we'll just say if everyone paid
$200.
Yeah, I was gonna say everyone paid $100. It went from $400 down to $200.
Sure.
And and now you paid both players that were gonna get. I know you can never count on cashing. Like it or not, there are some people that probably go there and be like, cool, I'm better than 3 of those 4 people. I want to get that money. That's why I feel like for the last minute ones, I don't have much sympathy short of a true, probably like drama story.
But even then, everyone could make one of those up.
Everyone can make one of those up. Now, here's what I'll say about a week out, 5 days out. And I know the PDGA has rules on this and whatnot. Is there a wait list? If you fill that position, I don't care how late it is, that person, whoever gets out, should get their full money back. If you fill the position. Even if it's the morning of. If someone calls you the morning of and says, hey, I just can't make it, and the TD says, you're in luck. There's a guy here who wants to play. He showed up randomly. He wants to play. If that spot is filled, I think the person should get their money back.
Okay.
That's how I feel. Now, there's obviously caveats for amateurs. Did the TD get custom players packs? Hey, I ordered you a 4XL
with your name on it.
With your name.
So it's not just a 4XL; it's a 4XL with your name and PDGA
I wanted to pick a size that like wouldn't go with everybody, or you pick an extra small. Guess what? You're a junior, and there's only 2 of you, and now suddenly you're not going to come. And I got a trophy for your division because there was going to be one of you, and things like that. Like that's all money out of the TD's pocket that's just gone. So that is why I kind of feel like if you're not filling the position. That's it. Custom shirts, custom stuff like that, as long as it's known ahead of time. If I sign up for an event and I don't know that there's custom stuff made, then I mean, how am I to blame for that if something comes up? Like, I would hope that the TD would make that known. Like, oh, hey, we need your shirt size because we're going to get a custom shirt made for you. And at that point, then the TD can say, hey, I'm going to take that shirt out of the entry fee. That's a $30 shirt that's coming out of the entry fee. I will get you the shirt. We'll send it to you, or you can pick it up, or whatever you need to do. It'll be available for you. If you want to come later today and pick it up, or like I said, or I'll ship it to you and take the money, take the $7 or whatever shipping costs are these days. I don't know. Take that out. We can do that. Fine. But in general, if we're not
okay, so going back to pros,
if we're talking pros, if the spot's filled, give the guy the money back. Period.
What if you're not the waiting list will say ended on or registration or waiting list and all that ends Friday night. So you have your tournament Saturday morning. You're playing MPO. The tournament starts Saturday morning. Friday night or Friday nights when all registration ends or cutoffs. There's no ads or drops or whatever per posting. Saturday morning at 6 a.m., you write the TD and be like, hey, I pulled my groin. I'm not going to be there today. Whatever your reason is, let's just say you pulled your groin. We're going to go with that one. You pulled your groin. I can't come compete today. even if there was a waiting list 10 deep the night before on Friday night, the waiting list has been officially
Correct.
ended. And to be fair, those 10 people on the waiting list,
They're not going to show up, probably.
they all live a half hour or an hour away. They don't want to show up that next morning.
No.
And quite frankly, the TD doesn't want to be effing with doing all this switching come the next morning. So they say to them, I'm sorry you can't make it. Sorry you pulled your groin, but do they get a refund?
No.
Okay.
No. It sucks. It's unfortunate. But unless that spot is filled, and we'll just say, let's say the waiting list ends on Thursday for pros. Hey, after Thursday, the event starts Saturday. I'm not swapping anybody. Player pulls out on Friday. I don't think that it's the TD's responsibility, although they can, to go to the wait list and be like, oh God, the first guy on the list. You could just say, sorry, you don't get your money back, and I'm not filling the spot. I would have no problem with that. Now, it would be nice if the TD maybe reached out to a person, whoever was maybe first on the waiting list, and said, hey, I did have a last minute withdrawal. Would you like to come?
And that guy says, no, actually, my grandma passed away. I'm no longer interested in being on the waiting list.
Exactly. If the spot isn't, I don't believe it's the TD's responsibility after that wait list time goes to start going down the list manually. But if they did, and if they fill that spot, give the guy the money back. If the spot is filled, the person should get their money back. If not, you get nothing.
Yeah, and I think one of the questions naturally that unfolded out of this scenario was if someone says it's injury related,
still don't care.
Does that carry different weight than any other reasoning?
Nope.
And I felt like there was a lot of responses within this thread that's like, dude, you're injured. That's not fair. Yeah, you should just get your money back.
Great. My cousin died. Great. My car, my engine fell out of my car. Man, that sucks. It's going to cost me $2,000 to fix that.
I'd like my $150 entry.
Because I need that. I'm going to need that to fix my car. Too bad. I'm sorry. It's really unfortunate. But I can't wreck the rest of the field, and you are asking the rest of the field to take a hit because you did. Sorry. Can't do it. Won't do it. It sucks, but we need to have established set of standards.
Yeah, and there are. And to be fair, every TD, because of some leniency or some other liberties, has handled it differently. Me being one of them. And you guys have heard me rant throughout the years as my positioning on refunds has slowly but surely stiffened over these last few years. I used to be as absolutely generous and liberal as you could possibly humanly be with a refund. My stated policy for more than a decade was, if you call me up to the 2-minute warning and say you can't play, I'll refund you. And I did that, I think, with like 99 or 100% certainty. I just did it. As the PDGA continued to then develop an official refund policy, I largely ignored it and still was gracious in terms of we'll say in terms of that player, but maybe not ultimately to some of the other people that were playing. I would always go with the side of with the withdrawer, so to speak, is where I largely, and I just got to say personally, I have backed off of that and have become a little more stiff, little stiffer.
Stricter.
And stricter,
understandable,
as time has moved on.
And do you know the policy if it's within like a week and you fill the spot, do you have to give the person the money back?
Well, I'll just read it because there's, of course, as we've just been talking about it.
That's why I didn't.
Yeah, and there's it all comes down to largely when it is that talks about it, and when you're talking about. I'm just going to read this is the PDGA Rules Competition Manual. Let me find the number. Just 1.03 withdrawals and refunds, Section D. It says players who officially request to withdraw from an event 15 to 29 days before the start of the event will receive a 100% monetary refund of their entry fee minus up to a $10 handling fee only if their spot in the tournament is filled. By a player who is on the wait list at the time of the withdrawal request. If the player's spot is not filled, the TD has the choice to provide either a 50% monetary refund or their entry fee, or just the players pack, or what the players pack would have been had they received In the case of a player, a pro division, refunds, Section E is players who officially request to withdraw from an event within 14 days of the start of the event and prior to the event's published closure of registrations and waitlist.
And that's more so what I care about.
Yep. And waitlist replacements will receive 100% monetary refund minus up to a $10 handling fee only if their spot is filled.
Perfect. So then that's exactly what I want. Which
if the player spot is not filled, so that's saying
which makes the most sense.
You could basically keep like up to a $10 handling fee if it's filled. Okay. Then it goes on to say, though, if the player's spot is not filled, the TD has the choice to provide either a 25% monetary refund or just the player's pack that they would have received had they attended minus the cost of shipping. In the case of a player in a pro division for an event without a pro player pack worth at least 25% of the entry fee, the TD will provide the 25% monetary refund. So that last sentence is really the payoff in this scenario. You withdraw within 14 days of the event, you paid $100, and your spot is not filled with someone that's on the waiting list at that time. You are only entitled to $25.
$25.
And that's what I believe was being offered in this situation, the 25%. And there was issue with it. And I was shocked, or not, I was shocked to see that the large majority of people that chimed in on this thread
thought they should get the money back.
Yeah, 100%.
No.
Anyway, it was a healthy debate. You guys can chew on that however you wish. I do love that the PDGA has created a policy.
Yeah.
It's in the competition manual. I don't want to say it's the law, because it's not. None of that's a law, but there's an official stated policy. What I dislike is when a TD wants to uphold an official PDGA policy
and they get run on.
And they still get blasted for it because they're upholding a very legitimate policy that's in place. And that doesn't make me feel good. As a TD, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't know that that's really fair. I mean, I feel it's similar, but not to like, hey, officer, I know I'm doing 75, but everybody does 75 through here. You can just let me go. And the officer's like, well, no, today I'm going to write a ticket. You're doing 75 and a 65. Yeah, I know, but I do 75 here all the time, and so do all my buddies. We always do 75 here. Most of the people do 75 here. And the officer's like, yeah, but today I'm writing you a ticket. You're doing 75. Like, they're just upholding what's in place. Now, if you want to argue if the speed limit should be 75 or not, like, unfortunately, that's not going to do you any good with the actual officer. Like, that needs to be taken up with the local municipality and who's ever writing the laws. In this case, have a conversation with the PDGA if you think that the policy needs some tweaking yet again. But I think I don't like the idea of, like, we're just going to blatantly dump on the TD that's just simply upholding a posted policy.
Yeah. So basically the PDGA is doing what I think they should be doing. Like, if somebody fills your spot, you get your money back, minus whatever handling fee, the $5 or $10 handling fee, because that could be flat out just, hey, those are PayPal fees. Like, that's probably what more so like, hey, I'm sending money back and forth. In theory, that should be done via, refunds and whatnot. So there could be the TD should not take a financial hit on that at all. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think that the PDGA policy makes sense. But I think we've bored everybody now.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's fine. That's what we're here for. Terry, what's not boring? Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. I promise we're not going to refund your money.
No, we're not. Wait, nope.
Nope, we're not. We're going to keep it. We're going to use it. We're going to continue to make the podcast better and
provide some giveaways.
Every single week. This week, we have 137 people eligible for our giveaway. We had a lot of people sign up on the free SmashBoxx.tv/weekly giveaways this week.
You guys getting in on the action.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for going and doing that. Thank you for not
free
and not supporting us. Thanks for not supporting us.
I really want to win something from these guys for free.
Come on, let me do it. So 137 people are eligible for our giveaway. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Terry, as always, I ask you what number. I've sorted it by donation amount. So the $1 donators are up at the top, all the way down to the $10 donators, and then everyone that signed up is at via the free one is at the bottom. Just because
I thought we love you less or think any less.
that's just because the way it's
bottom
sorted.
dwellers. No,
Yeah, because there was nothing in that field, so that's the way it was sorted.
All right. Well, with that, I mean, this was the Big Arm Challenge 4. Parker Welck was the third person to win it. It was like my 6th time going to Arizona this year. Well, let's go with 4. It was the Big Arm Challenge 4 that I covered this weekend. So 4 is going to be the number that pops out at me.
All right, our first number is 55. Second number is 49. Third number is 9. Our fourth and final number,
Hope it's somewhere near the bottom, but
7.
Near the top, I mean.
Shorter, Terry. It went shorter. So 7. So let me take that off so I don't dox everyone's address. Scroll all the way up to the top. And 7 is Chris Neal.
Chris.
Congratulations, Chris Neal.
Appreciate you.
Supporter at $1, which we're happy with. We love you, Chris.
And you've been on board for a while.
You have.
And we very much appreciate
Very much appreciate your support for the longest time. Like Billy
Sweet.
Joel. Oh, for the longest time.
Speaking of copyrights.
Speaking of Billy Joel.
No, I'll give you guys the explanation. You don't hear really any ambient sound during holes 1 on either of the broadcasts
because they had walk-up music.
Yeah, my videos this weekend they had walk-up music. So
which is why the DDO stopped doing that. DDO GBO used to do that, but there was at some point all the post-production people were getting their copyright strikes, and so I think there was some discussion with the event staff being like, "Yeah, we can't put this live on YouTube." Because we could get a copyright strike for it. It demonetizes your video, which is costing some of the people at the time $2,000 possibly on some of these streams. So that's why DDO doesn't do the walk-up music anymore, I feel.
And they had it for Saturday at the Big Arm Challenge. Everybody got to select. You went out to a Google chart and put in your walk-up song or your key-off song, whatever. I like concept.
I love the
seems
concept.
Like a huge pain in the ass for TDs. I don't ever want to do it because it seems like I'd have to get a Spotify account maybe. No, but it seems like it'd be a huge pain in the ass to do. So God bless everyone that's done it. Good on you. Sunday, so everyone's different. Had different songs on Saturday. On Sunday for the second round, they didn't have They didn't do individual songs. They just had music playing of some kind, inspirational or pump you up kind of exciting music. And I still heard it. Obviously, my camera still heard it. So I think it was just hole 1 that I ultimately just finally muted it. And I literally was playing with the levels on my editor. Like if I bring it down 10 decibels or 20 decibels, YouTube's smart and it's still like picking up that thing, even if it's really faint to some degree. Yep. So at a certain point, I was like, F this. I don't need any copyright strikes. I don't need any demonetization. I'm just going to mute the tee-offs on 1 pretty much.
They should only do copyright-free music. Walk up.
Yeah,
you have to pick amongst these 22 YouTube copyright-free songs.
Yeah, there you go.
People are like, I don't know what this is. Like, just pick one.
Yep, that's what you get to listen to. Yeah, that would be a good workaround. So... yeah, so if anyone's wondering, which you probably weren't, but if you do, that's exactly why the first tee-off shots sound like there's no ambient sound. Well, because I muted it. I don't want to get put in YouTube jail. Ray, you did ask a good question. I'll quickly touch on it. Yes, who knows when it's going to happen, but one of the cool things, and we could probably even do it on SmashBox if we get to that point as well. The day... essentially that I've established that I get 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to go back 2 months from that day. And if you were supporting me at that point or earlier via Patreon, you're going to get a free disc sent to you. So if you sign up today and I hit 100,000 next week, well, then you're too late to the party, and I still appreciate it. But if this is meant to, thank anyone that has been with me for at least 2 months or longer. Some people are going to get a good deal out of that. So I very much appreciate it. I said at 95,200 is the number. I don't know. It could be 2 years yet. Whenever it happens,
Could be.
I'm good with it.
Until I come up with
It may never happen.
starts going
Well,
backwards.
what I'm going to assume, and this is just kind of a hunch behind the scenes, I'm going to assume maybe YouTube doesn't. I would think as you get closer and closer, and maybe they've already done it, at a certain point, YouTube comes in and does like a legit clean or cleanse
I don't think so.
of sweeping out fake / bots.
You don't think so? No.
They're trying to hold back those silver play buttons.
Nope. I don't think
I feel like they will. I think I'm going to get to 98,000, and all of a sudden they're going to do a cleanse of some sort.
72,000. Jesus, how did that happen?
No, and I think it would wipe out a couple thousand. Would just be a guess.
I don't think so.
Maybe it won't. Who knows?
I think that would be disheartening. I think people would be upset.
I agree, but
I think people would be upset about that.
It should be earned, though. Like I don't.
What's earned?
Like legit.
So if I sign up for a YouTube account like 8 or 9 years ago and I sub to your page, but then I kind of never check YouTube, is that an account you would wipe because it hasn't been active for 8 years?
No, but you're like that was a real account at one point.
Maybe. How do they know if I just literally signed up for one day and they'll sub to your account and I just really never, or I have a different YouTube account and profile? Because like me personally, I have like 3 different YouTube profiles.
Yeah.
I got my Smashbox, I've got a Skip Ace, and I've got a work one.
Yeah, well.
And I sub to different things on different ones. But if for some reason I left my job and that work account sat there for,
just make sure it's subbed to me.
I will for like 10 years. Is that an account you wipe out because it was real at one point? But what if I only had subbed to one channel? They can't. It's really hard to tell if there's no activity and intent.
I don't know.
I'm just saying I don't think they would do that because I think it would be extremely disheartening. If you were to do that, you would almost have to do it earlier than like right before 100,000. And second of all, my understanding is that they don't really do that at all. What service was I just listening to where they were saying that they tend to do that in waves? Maybe it's Instagram or something, because people try to obviously game the system that they just randomly, they don't, without any warning, it's like every so many months they purge.
Yeah.
And so that you don't know when it's going to happen.
I think that happened to my YouTube account not that long ago.
It might.
I think that had happened, and that's what makes me think, like, if they do it, I'd be okay with it. I understand. I don't want to earn anything that's not earned.
But it might be earned. You just don't even know it, Terry. You just don't even know it, Terry.
Anyway, well, thank you guys for coming along the silly ride here tonight. Thank you to Parker Welck, who joined us. Again, thanks to the entire
Love him as a guest.
Arizona family for the awesome weekend and my special date nights, including one Spicy Boy and Jimmy Carr. For Johnny V, with smashed up fingers. Literally smashboxed. Yeah. Anyway, with Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. That's 484's after show. We'll see you next week. You step inside the Smashbox.